Hey guys, it's your host Julian. This week I sit down with my favorite anime podcast host, Ricky Vang. Ricky hosts the Spoiler Force podcast, a podcast where he chats anime, manga, and pop culture with the industry's finest. This week we're chatting everything and anything that has to do with My Hero Academia Season 6. You've been warned, so if you haven't finished this latest season, go watch it and then listen to us. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What's My Head podcast. I'm your host, Julian. Today I'm joined by Mr. Ricky Vang, the host for Spoiler Force podcast, man. Thanks for coming on the show. How are you?
No problem. Thank you for inviting me again, man. I've been doing well. Excited to do this and talk about my hero, man.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we're Ricky's probably gonna drive the ship because if I can say anything, man, it's I'm super new to anime. I've started to deepen my knowledge of anime, and a lot of it is because of recommendations from your podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, if you love anime, check out Ricky's podcast. It's my favorite anime podcast out there, and that's the Spoiler Force podcast. But Ricky dropped it right there. We're going to talk this season 6, My Hero Academia. Before we dive deep into the season, man, what were your overall opinions or feelings going into this season?
Dude, I was just so excited for this
Mm,
specific arc, especially just the first half, because
yeah.
I don't want to like dive into spoilers right away, but like because of certain characters and then like just the overall like sense of urgency that the
Hmm.
heroes face when they face Shigaraki and the Liberation Army and the League of Villains. Like there's just so much at stake at this point because now it's not really build up no more. It's like climax at this point.
Hmm.
I think I guess that's the best way you can say it. Because now after what's happened with season five, like we got to see Shigaraki's pretty much growth as a villain, how much more powerful he's gotten. And the question is, can the heroes, can they stop him or can they get him? Like, can they beat him? And those questions were answered right away in the season.
Boy, oh boy. Usually, when you get a first episode of returning, like they left it on a huge cliffhanger for season 5, right?
Yep.
And then it rolls right into it. And I got to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a sub. No, I'm not a sub guy. Excuse me. I am a dub guy. I know that's, what's the word? Frowned upon for most fans of anime. But I enjoy it because most of the time when I'm watching anything, I need to be able to hear it and not have to like look up at certain points because I'm usually doing something, whether it's cleaning, cooking, playing with the kid or whatever it is. So dub really helps out. So I had to watch the second half in sub, and I found out that it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be in a sense. And I'm not shitting on the sub guys, but it's just like I thought I was going to have a bigger problem with it than I really did because I'd been used to dub for so
Uh,
long,
okay.
right? Yeah, for the most part, that's all I ever watch because, like I said, I got shit to do. I got to make sure I'm doing this and watching TV. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I still prefer dub. Don't Please don't hit me in the comments about it, but it's been a blast. But getting to that first part, like I said, season 5 ends, you're like, holy shit, you expect a slow build up in episode 1, and they're like, nope, boom, right out they go plus ultra as soon as it hits, right? So, like I said, Ricky here, he's read way ahead than where this season's going, so he knows some really cool shit's gonna happen, probably some really sad shit's gonna happen too. But give me your first impressions of this first arc, at least, man. What were you thinking? What were you feeling?
Dude, like I was very excited to see Mirko in action, the
Yes.
bunny hero, because they teased her very well in season five. And of course, if you read the manga, then you know what she's capable of. And
Mhm.
she's a very good supportive character because like they literally gave her, I guess, like one or two episodes, maybe even three, just her focusing on her skills, why she's in the top five heroes, and it was just awesome to see that finally being animated. But my only complaint is that I've talked about this on my show as well, is like because it's because it's been animated, it's geared towards like the younger audience and it's
Mhm.
more censored. In the manga, her arm is actually torn off, not twisted. So she loses her arm and I think she loses her leg in the process of fighting and getting to the doctor in this first part of the season. But then, I mean, still, it's still done well. Like just it was just so hype for me, man. Like seeing her finally like take on the Nomus, and then where she breaks in, she's like, what's up, doc, to the doctor, like
Yes.
that Bugs Bunny reference right there. It was just chef's kiss, man. Like and only the only reason I say this, because like if you have to be invested in this show, you can't just jump into this like climax of a season and be like, oh my gosh, I love it, because the story builds up to this point. And like I said, when with the end of season 5, they ended it off in a big note. And usually, My Hero is mostly known to do like the first episode is slow, a slow recap type of thing. Like Julian said, they just went right into it, and you get action right away.
Dude, I was like I said, when I was waiting for it because I bought the first part of the season in Amazon because I just didn't want to wait for it. So, and plus it was dubbed. And so I'm getting ready to watch it, and my buddy Josie at work, he texts me. He was like, "Holy shit, it gets real quick." And I didn't know what he was talking about. So I put question mark, question mark. He was like, "We talked about it at work," and he just put My Hero. And I was like, "Oh shit." So I instantly, like, Hayden and I are just diving into it deep. And then Hayden is a lot like you. We'll get to the point where I wanted to fight my 13-year-old son in a little bit. But because he reads ahead, I think he might be caught up. He doesn't read the ones that are dropping weekly, so he's getting like the
Oh,
little
okay.
3 for 1s. And because they sell them at my comic book store, so every time they have a new one, I pick it up and bring it home to him because he'll read them right away. And he's not as impressed or as shocked because he knows what's going to happen. He
Yeah.
knows what's going on. I'm the guy that's blissfully unaware. But yeah, same thing. Like Mirko, I didn't know too much about her. I think they might have done like a little breakdown of her when they did the 1 through 10 after All Might retired. Spoiler alert. After he retired, and then everybody just got a power up. Essentially, everybody just moved up one spot. So you see this, and like I said, I wasn't familiar. And seeing her, same thing you said, go, "What's up, Doc?" I was like, "Oh shit!" She hit a Bugs Bunny slash Lola Bunny
Yeah.
type of move here, and then she just wrecks the shit out of everything. Man, she was such a badass character. With the exception of like her arm and her leg getting removed in the manga. What did they change too much? Like, was the fight scenes kind of the same as what was in the show that we saw?
It was pretty similar. I think I'd
Yeah.
say it's frame to frame. I mean, it just depends on, like, I guess, perspective of how you read the manga, because
Mhm.
the manga pages are black and white unless you find the colored pages. But I was expecting a little bit more. I guess just more destruction in the
Yeah.
fight scene, but still, like just seeing her finally being animated is what I was expecting the most. Like her and like several other characters, which we'll touch up on later, but like just finally see this part being animated, and you hear the music and the voice actors is what I was looking forward to the most, because in the manga you're just reading it, you're just reading
Hmm.
panels, so it's up to the reader to decide, like, oh man, I wonder how this sounds like, or I wonder how this will look like, so the anime did really well.
Absolutely, man. Now, something I've always wondered, with you reading the manga ahead and you reading comics as well. Obviously, I mean, you got Batman right behind you. So anytime I read a
Yeah.
Batman comic, I'm hearing Kevin Conroy, right? I'm hearing Mark Hamill as the Joker. When you're reading the manga, are you hearing, even though you don't speak Japanese, are you hearing like that inflection from the sub? I know it's a weird question to kind of ask, but do you kind of get that, or are you putting in whatever voices or what are you hearing? I guess is what I'm getting at when you're reading it.
Well, I mean, I try to draw from like a lot of the comic books that I read.
Mhm.
So when I read manga, like if I heard their English voices already, then I'm sticking to that.
Yeah.
So like I kind of hear that a little bit mixed with like with how the Japanese of actors sound like too. But like it's nothing too off. It's just I'm just reading it like
Mhm.
charismatically in my mind. So I mean
Yeah.
sometimes like I will try to, I guess mostly for the sub, I try to um picture who would I think would voice that character. And I don't know too many of the seiyus, which are the Japanese voice actors, because like there's
Mhm.
so many of them and they voice tons and tons of characters. So it's really hard to kind of pick, like, man, I think Mirko would sound like this person, or I think Deku would sound like this person. So it's kind of just like you're just guessing. And so I it's more comfortable for me to just be like, I think maybe Mirko might have like a Wonder Woman esque kind of sound, like, or a more aggressive, like not tomboyish, but more like just
Mhm.
like a very strong female like type of character. She's, you can tell like she's not very soft spoken. You can tell like Mirko's like, I'm whooping your ass. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
yeah. So I try to just do that and draw that into the characters that I'm reading. But like you said though, if it comes down to like Superman, Batman, and Joker, their voices are Kevin Conroy and Joker already. Like that's
Yeah.
who I'm reading.
Absolutely. So we're gonna, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna walk through this entire season. So we've got the infiltration of the heroes, right? So what I liked about this, how they opened, it was like three stories simultaneously going on.
Yep.
And you think something like that would be difficult to pull. I'm pretty sure it was difficult to shit. I'm just a guy talking about what I watched. I want to assume it was difficult, but they did it excellently. Three stories interwoven into one, and then you're getting timestamps on what's going on when. So we see the infiltration of the heroes coming into the hospital. We see Mirko essentially running amok, just trying to destroy everything to get to Shigaraki. And ladies and gentlemen, we will jump over some details, but it's on you to go and watch this amazing season of My Hero Academia. But we see her and Endeavor, and we'll see everybody else, like I said, just infiltrating this hospital. You've got a secondary team of both heroes and students off site, trying to catch any of the other villains that might be getting away, and you see Gigantomachia coming in as well. But when that initial attack is going on, right, and you see Mirko crack that screen or that vial that Shigaraki's in, man, what are you feeling? I mean, is it, and obviously, like I said, you read it, so ladies and gentlemen, we'll refer to that quite often, but what's going through your mind? You thinking like, oh shit, this is about to happen. This is when Shigaraki destroys everything.
Well, initially when I was reading the manga, I was very surprised that Mirko made it that far on her own.
Mm-hmm.
Because she took off first, and Endeavor was still chasing, like was still behind her because they were trying to like capture the villains that was already in front. And so seeing her go off on her own and then fighting the Nomus was like, it was just intense to see, like, man,
Yeah.
like that's how strong she really is. And then explains why she's in the top five, because it's very, I'm gonna kind of go on a tangent here. It's hard to compare these top heroes because All Might's already solidified, like this is
Mm-hmm.
the best hero. This is, if All Might was there, he could have done that himself. But then like to see the light being shined on other top five heroes or other pro heroes, it shows you that they're not as weak as we think they are. The power scaling is maybe like way different, but they're not like nothing without All Might. They can still hold their own. So seeing that she made it to Shigaraki on her own was already like, holy shit. And then her breaking the case or the vial that he was in was like, man, like, she's no slouch. Mirko is like all this hype, like she deserves this hype. I was more concerned on like, what if she kicked it open and like Shigaraki like grabbed her, like that's what I was
Yeah.
afraid.
Were you expecting them to change anything from the manga to kind of adapt? Because you do see that with certain franchise, like we see in The Last of Us. We've seen quite a few changes because Game of Thrones is another big one. I don't know if it's just creative licensing or people don't want to follow the book 100% because a lot of people might check out. I don't know. I'm always going to watch My Hero before I read it. But were you surprised that they didn't change too much from that, or were you expecting something in that first arc to change?
I mean, I expected like the censorship
Mm,
was mostly just that. Usually, like I think the differences with like how Western animation or Western TV shows do adaptations versus like Japan is because it's not live action. So like with
yeah.
animation, you're free to do or add or take away anything you want, as long as you, I think for me, my take is, as long as you stick to the core panels, like don't
Hmm.
change up the panels or like a certain, like when Miracle does the Luna architect, like that's a panel right there, her attacking Shigaraki's case. Like as long as they didn't change that, then I'm fine with it. But usually most of the time, I would say most of the time, like there are animes out there that do like derive off of the source material, but as of now, My Hero has not. The I mean, the animation, like I said, has been by far much better than I anticipated. It's just like I said, seeing all that being animated and in action, So yeah, nothing too much, like nothing too far off too much. And if there's anyone that like agrees or disagrees, like make sure to comment in the comment section
Yeah.
too, so we know.
Absolutely. It's always interesting seeing what you would take from it, what I take from it, and then watching the show with my son, I get to see what he takes from it too, because he might pick up on a different character, the way they talk, the way they move, the way they interact, or the way they move through this world than I would, because he's fucking 13, man, and I'm 30, almost 34. So I'm going to see things or point out things that I'm seeing in my 34-year-old eyes and vice versa for him. But one thing that we absolutely loved, I mean, when President Mike comes running in after she cracks it and
Dude.
they go, dude, like we both, like I got goosebumps right now, but like we both like looked at each other and then we went, oh, like he didn't say, oh shit, because he's 13 and he knows he'll get in trouble and shit. But we're like, oh shit, right? And Shigaraki obviously falls out of this ooze, this vial that the doc was working on him. And it kind of ends there. And then you see that electricity just hit. And then comes to life, and I'm like, oh fuck, man, I wonder what's gonna happen, because Shigaraki's always been my favorite villain. I can't pick just one favorite character. I've got to have a favorite hero. I've got to have a favorite teacher, a favorite student, and a favorite villain. That way I get to cheat and say, hey, I've got all of these characters that I absolutely love. But Shigaraki, going from last season into this one, I was not ready for, not so much to him to take a back seat, because I kind of assumed he was going to be front and center, even though he kind of was, even though he was a vessel for I always get him mixed up, one for all. Did I say that
All
one
for
right?
one.
All for one. Thank you. I always get them mixed up. All for one, all for one, all for one. But him just being a vessel. But like I said, his final arc in that last season, you see how he becomes who he is, why he becomes who he is. And then it's crazy. Like it's just like we're one bad day away, not from like total destruction and dismay like Shigaraki, but we could all be a villain in our own story if we ended up, or we had a story like Shigaraki.
Yeah.
But like I said, when he wakes up and he just lays waste to essentially all of Japan at that point, I'm blown the fuck away, man. It's just, I'm like, whoa, 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 like how, slow down, Shigaraki, pump the brakes. Why is this? I was starting to get worried, because I'm like, is this the last season? Is this how all of it ends? Man, when you're watching this, like what's going through your head? What are you seeing? What are you picking out from it that you like the most?
Dude, it's just seeing like Shigaraki's resolve. Like
Hmm.
there's there's this quote that, whether it's on social media or like it's most people will see, like villains, they are the heroes in their story, right? So
Yes.
when you see Shigaraki, like he just, people forget that, or at least I won't say all people, like, if you watch it, don't forget that he already powered up in the last season.
Hmm.
Like when he fought the liberation leader, like he already powered up. And so him powering up again in this season. So not just take that, he's amplified now with more, like, not just his quirk, but physical attributes, multiple quirks. So the heroes don't know what they're like messing with at this point. They're just like, oh, we know that he's being tested on. We got to stop him before he wakes up, and it's already too late because he woke up. But man, just like that, the scene in the hospital where before he takes off and he just like disintegrates everything around him, and the
Hmm.
heroes, who was it? I think with the hero that saved Aizawa, and you see him like melt away,
Yes. Yeah.
and dude, like that, like Shigaraki's power is just so freaking overpowered because he doesn't even have to touch you at this point. Now he can just
Yeah.
touch the floor, and as long as you're in that area or that circumference of his power, you're done.
Absolutely. And what I loved so much, or so much about this, and I keep getting goosebumps just thinking about this initial arc, man. It's the sheer panic that they were able to put on these inanimate characters, or these
Yep.
characters that are being animated. But it's just like these fictitious characters, the fear that they are put in, like you are absorbing their fear, their uncomfortableness, their discomfort. You're seeing this through their eyes. And then for just a split second, if you're sucked into the show like I've been and like Ricky's been, you can kind of take on the, oh shit, like what can we do with this guy? Like this guy, like you said, is so overpowered at this point. He essentially just has to sneeze and he's taking out all of Tokyo, right? It's just,
Yeah.
it's fucking wild when you think about just how far his powers go and how strong he has gotten from the last season. Like you said, those two power ups, those two level ups essentially. And now he is the vessel for all, I'm gonna say it right, this one, all for one.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Oh, one for one, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so it was just so crazy. And like you said, that Aizawa moment where he's reaching back for that hero, and then the hero just fades away and turns to dust. I was just like, the game's done changed, ladies and gentlemen. This shit, like they're playing for keeps right now. And it really felt like, oh, the heroes were on top up until they kicked that door into that hospital. And then you just see everything flip upside down like Stranger Things, man. So we'll flash forward ahead just a little bit, man. So we get out onto the street. So we're seeing the students and some of the other pro heroes that were split and divided. So we're starting to see their side of the story and what they're going through, man. What were some of your initial thoughts about seeing this secondary arc within that first arc?
This is why I love Horikoshi's storytelling, because it's very much like a DC or Marvel comic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see like the first timeline, and then they go, all right, during this time, this is what they were doing, and then
Yeah.
back and forth. So I guess we can start off with where they, I guess, invade first, or at least I want to say it's with Fat Gum's group and all those
Yeah.
and Kaminari and all of them, because there's them, that there's the offensive group that goes first, and then there's the group in the back where where you have like Yayorozu and
Mm-hmm.
Mineta and all of them. So there's two separate groups. But the first group that goes in, Kaminari gets his shine, dude. Like reading that part in the manga, I was like, dude, this goofy electric kid gets his time to shine. And in the anime, they did not disappoint. And I love what Horikoshi does, is like he kind of teases the the young romance there. You see that,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's Jiro and Kaminari. They're the ones
Yeah.
that it's kind of like, they're the ones that kind of have like this child young love going on with each other. And it just I love seeing how these heroes, or even the students, how they all encourage each other, they all support each other, like from class A to, dude, we talked about this before, dude, like class fucking B, man. Like class B is so
Yes,
underrated, bro. i
it is.
I wish they, honestly, I would love to have a series on just class B, but like seeing them work together with them, and then you see like all the skill sets that these students have. And like back to Kaminari, like he was afraid like to go in because they needed
Mm-hmm.
his quirk to stop one of the initial guys, like because he had electricity power too, that like, no, Kaminari, we need you to nullify his power so that we can go in. And he was scared until Jiro's like, no, you got this, like go and do it. And then you see him like strike his hand in the air, he poses,
Mm-hmm.
absorbs the lightning. I'm like, dude, let's go, man, let's go,
Yeah.
Kaminari. Like that's why man, I get so excited because Horikoshi does it so well too, where each student has their moment in this story. It's not always Deku, it's not always Bakugo, it's not always Todoroki. Like everyone has a moment and a pivotal part to play. Whether you have the best quirk or the worst quirk, you have a part to play in this story, and I freaking love it.
I have to correct you on one thing, man. You said Bakugo wrong in there. It was
We will get to him in a moment.
oh,
Like
brother. I can't wait. I don't know if you're the same. I don't know if you get like real emotional whenever you see something you're super invested in. But as I've gotten older, man, the tears, they start to like, not like I'm boohoo crying, but like I get so emotionally attached to specifically this show. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Attack on Titan. I can't wait to do a review and wrap up on Attack on Titan because that one, that's like God tier for me. I absolutely love what Attack on Titan's done. I'm kind of pissed that we got to wait 6 to 8 months for the next part or the next episode. I just hope it's really good. But like seeing that scene with Kaminari, and then he's pointing his finger up, dude. I flash back to like when he would get like, he'd be all slow and shit because he
yeah.
just literally shot in his entire loadout. And you seeing him like master his quirk now, and he can control it. Like he might get a little derpy from time to time by either shooting off too much or absorbing too much, but the fact that he was afraid and he stepped up to the plate. You see these kids becoming heroes. You see them shedding that like freshman weight, essentially. Like, I'm not taking that baggage with me anymore. This is my job. You see them wide-eyed and bushy-tailed when they first come to UA, and now you see them absorbing that role and becoming what they're eventually going to be when they become adults and they leave UA. And that moment right there solidified everything you needed to know about Kaminari. It's just he is going to do. I got goosebumps, dude. This is like the goosebumps show. That scene, brother, man. When like I said, when he put his finger up and he took everything, I was like, fucking. I woke my wife up. I'm like, let's fucking go. I'm just cheering downstairs. It was just like I was so pumped and so hyped, just like you said. Yeah, man. That was such a beautiful moment, a beautiful scene, and like I said, I got tears just welling up just watching that, and just like I said, seeing him become what he wants to be was just so cool. And like you said, he has so many characters that he's writing, right? So many characters that he has to get into the story. And no pun intended, every single character, including Kaminari, shines in every single episode of this series. I've never seen one character just left out there to dry, man. It's a mark of a true craftsman at what this guy does on a day in and day out basis. Phenomenal. Couldn't be a better word for it, man. Um,
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Before you go on, I just want to add on like the whole emotional aspect. Right? I don't get emotional about the characters, but I do get very invested. And I think because
mm,
we get invested as viewers, like we attach either a part of ourselves or
yes.
recognize like something about these characters that we would recognize in whether it's our daily life or just
Mhm.
people that we know. And so like for me, like I got so invested because the writing is just so well. Horikoshi
Yes.
does it so well to where he gives you enough character development for everyone, but then it doesn't take away from the main plot. So I
Mhm.
think that's why, like, I spoke about this with the voice actor for Shikamaru from Naruto, Tom Gibbs. Like we know people in our lives who are like characters that we see on in these whatever anime you're watching. So I think that's
Mhm.
why like there's some sort of recognition, like it's for me, especially like I think it gets personal for me because like when I see these kids, these characters, like they especially the ones that are like I don't even know what to do, like, and they go for it. Like I resonate with that the most because that's how I'm like everything I do in my life is like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna do it, go do it. But I know that I have to do it. No one else is gonna do it. So like I love that like these characters are just so well like drawn out well, and then I'll let you continue on. But man, it's just dude, people are sleeping on the show, man.
Jeff's Kiss should be the name of this episode, really, man. It is. I hate when people say fan service in a bad way because it's not what I'm doing here. Like this show and this season in particular, fan service because we get questions answered that we've wanted answered for so long, and then we get to see storylines that we've assumed. And I don't want to say I assumed it's going to happen because, like I said, you know where this is going to an extent. You don't know so much how it's going to end, but you know where it's going and how far it's going to go. But just seeing like I said, these stories kind of wrap up and these stories kind of delve deeper, and then they just keep going deeper and deeper, and they keep dragging you into deeper waters. Like I said, it's the chef's kiss of this season, this series so far. So while that's going on, man, we're seeing, like I said, that second unit of heroes. They're starting to prepare. So you're seeing Midnight talk to Yaoyorozu, and then you're seeing all of these other characters really starting to play. So they're trying to set up traps because they don't know when it's going to happen, but they do know Gigantomachia is down there. They do know something of that sort is going to happen. So they're doing the best that they can to prepare, essentially. And this one, as we get towards the end of these next couple episodes, man, I didn't know I felt the way I felt about characters like Midnight and a lot of those characters that passed away. It was very hard, especially. I'm pretty sure it might have been shown just a little bit darker in the manga. It might have been maybe a little bit bloodier when they show what was it? They show her handcuffs, or would they show her mask or whatever it was when they showed her
Yeah.
eventually passing away. So I can only imagine just like how much more emotionally taxing it was in the manga than it was the show. Because, like you said, they do kind of play it down just a little bit because they do have a lot of kids watching it, so they kind of want to reach that entire audience, not just the teenagers and adults and things like that. But yeah, man, like the resolve that these kids have, and they know they are once Gigantomachia is brought into once that chess piece, ladies and gentlemen, is brought to the table, essentially, shit changes really quick and shit gets real really quick. You notice, like, just like Shigaraki's power of destruction is just never ending, it seems. The wake of what Gigantomachia leaves is it forever changes everybody. You see PTSD in these kids. You see the struggle. You see the death. You see them trying to cope with that. And then you see, like what you were saying earlier, about you can see yourself in these characters. You can see aspects of real life in these characters. I saw that. Like I saw them broken. I saw them devastated and destroyed. I saw them just crumbling and then them coming together, man. What were some of the things you were taking from this part, this, like I said, the second storyline of these three parts?
Um, well, let me take it back just a little bit because before that was the Tokoyami and Hawks part
Yes.
where Dobby fights Hawks.
Hmm.
This part was crucial because you see a villain die, and it
Yeah,
was twice. You know, and seeing twice die
it hurt.
kind you see how it hurts the villains where
Hmm.
like Dobby's his own thing, but you see Toga how she reacts to that, and when twice dies in her arms, like I think it's probably later on in the show, but the quote was like like I'm gonna butcher this, I'm paraphrasing, but she says something along the lines of like the hero, how can we be villains if the heroes are doing something like this too? Doesn't that
Yeah.
make them villains if they're the ones killing us? So like that morality like challenge right there is what I love about the villains because they tell like they tell it how it is. Like the heroes are not great either. Like they might be
Hmm.
fighting for their cause, but what makes them different from us when we're fighting for our cause? And so it's just a clash of ideas and morals and stuff like that. But just seeing that build up to where how Dobby just sets up Hawks and how Dobby knew who Hawks was when he calls him by his real name. And at this point, like Hawks is like CIA, he's like
Yeah.
no one knows who he is, but Dobby
Hmm.
calls him by his real name. It's like it's a big oh shit moment. It's like, yo, what does Dobby know? Like who is he? What does he know? And I think that really shook Hawks. And then you see out of the sky, Tokoyami goes in to save his mentor, and this is why I love Tokoyami too, like because I think he's severely like slept on when it comes to
Hmm.
power scaling, because he relies on Dark Shadow, he needs darkness, but then man, like you see him break out of Fat Gum of all heroes, and
Oh
Fat
yeah.
Gum couldn't even hold him back. So you know, Tokoyami goes in there, saves Hawks, and risks his life to save his mentor, knowing that they both could die by Dobby. And man, it just that was crazy to read in the manga and to watch in the anime. But it's I liked it because you get more of Dobby, and
Hmm.
eventually when we get to that point, it'll kind of reveal itself. But back to what you brought up with the with Midnight and Gigantomachia and what they were doing, I I love the resolve of the kids, man. Like when Midnight's like, Yajirozu, you're in charge. You make the calls,
Yeah.
And she's not the kind of character to make calls like that. Because if you recall back in season 3, where
Hmm.
she got nerve when she teamed up with Shoto, like she was very nervous. Like she didn't know what to do, and she relied on someone else to be like, "Hey, Shoto, you make the calls." And then it wasn't until where Aizawa was kind of like playing on their weaknesses and strength there, you kind of see like Yajirozu has the leadership skills. She's just not confident. But then
Hmm.
you see her like take this role in leadership and like, hey, this is what I'm making. This is what you guys need to use. Make sure all these bombs or whatever the gas things go in Gigantomachia's mouth. Do whatever it takes to stop him. And I like I said, I love seeing Class A and Class B work together. Like when you see them verse each other in the last season, like you get to see different quirks and different skill sets. But when you see them work together, man, it's like seeing the best of the best of both classes like just team up, and it's just so it's very. I feel like I'm a parent like praising the kids, like you guys are doing such a good job, like good job. It's it's so cool to see that like what initially was like a competition between class A and class B, that shit didn't matter no more. It was more so like this is our job. We need to work
Hmm.
together and do this. Like there was never any animosity between these classes, but they always want to one up each other in some sort of sense. But yeah, man, seeing that and then like I guess I mean there's a lot that went down because they had to fight off like the Liberation Army, and then like there was
Hmm.
also what's her name, um what's her name, the giant hero, what's her name,
Oh,
um
Lady Mount or Miss Mount? What was it?
yeah,
Lady Mount?
Mount,
Lady
Mount
Mountain?
Lady, Mount
Mount
Lady.
Lady.
Yeah, because she was part of that too. She couldn't hold back Gigantomachia either. So, you had like everyone just putting their all into stopping this one villain. And you see what he did in that to that city. He ran right through that city. And
Absolutely.
dude, like that kind of carnage was like you couldn't save anyone at that point, or you couldn't save everyone at that point. And
Hmm.
it's just like how can you stop this guy? And like I don't know, am I blabbering too much? Maybe you want to
No.
put some input in. Okay. I guess I just wanted to get to this point of the episode where Kirishima and Mina come into play, because Gigantomachia plays a part in their past, where you finally
Hmm.
see like, oh, so this is who Mina saw in the flashback in the backstory of Kirishima. That was the villain she saw, that she stood up to, even though she was scared. And then when she sees him again, she recognized like his voice,
Yeah.
his look, and she stops. And that's where Kirishima comes in the clutch again. And man, dude, like Kirishima's freaking badass, bro. Like he's up there.
Dude, I've got him actually sitting right here. He's sitting right across from Bakugo, and then I've got my Shigaraki up there, sitting right next to Shredder, right? So it's Kirishima, dude. There's a few times, especially in this series, that I've just gotten like just fat ugly girl crying or fat ugly guy crying, whatever you want to call it, man. And Kirishima's been in a couple of those scenes. It's just like, especially with him and Fat Gum when they're fighting the villains and shit. It's just like, bro, it hits you so hard. And just like Tokoyami, man, I think those two characters, while they are fan favorites, I do think that they are not spoken about enough, or not talked about enough, or not brought up enough, when it comes to people talking about this series. Because if you know anything about anything, right? If you know anything about sports, if you know anything about TV shows like this or comic books or manga, you've got those people that are those 1A, 1B type of people. But you need a lot of like C and D and B level characters that's not so much the front of the page, but they're those background characters. You need those characters that are role players that you can plug and play in any position or any situation, and then they just highlight everybody around them. And that's in specific. Those what those two characters do so well. They complement anybody in that show, anybody in that school, anybody in that fight, man. Their quirks are so cool. I was really bummed when they fought, like when we're going back to 1A, 1B, when they had that fight and then, everybody was taken out by the mushroom girl. I'm like, dude, that lady's got one of the like her and that dude that was hiding in the shadows.
Yeah.
That was going like, I was like, those two dudes are going to be villains one day, man. Those are some fucking scary quirks, man. But yeah, man, like Kirishima, when he's climbing up Gigantomachia, man, it's just like, oh, I was like, I could feel my eyes welling up. I was like, please, every time something like that happens, I'm assuming that Kirishima is essentially going to die, because I think that's going to be one of the characters that might possibly get it down towards the end of the road. Because I do think, like I said, he is such a, like for me in particular, like I've got such a soft spot in my heart for that character. Kaminari is the same way. It's just like really want to see those two characters succeed. So I could really see them by the end of the series possibly not being around. I hope it's not true. Hopefully it's somebody else. But yeah, man, that scene in particular, when you see her freeze up and then you're like, oh shit, this is how she goes. And then you see him like Wolverine just
Yeah.
climbing up, dude, and then he throws it in and he hits that "I'm gonna be a hero" type of thing. I'm like, oh fuck yes, going back to it, man. Let's get it. And then circling back to something you had said, I completely thought the Hawks and Twice thing was after the second story. I thought it was after the students. But that moment where Hawks knows he's gonna have to take that life, you see that flash in his eyes, you see that flash in his face, where it's just like, fuck, I didn't want to do this, because you see him talk about it in the latter half of the show after everything kind of settles down, where he was a good dude. He was just doing everything he could to save his friends, man. He was trying to save people. And then that dichotomy or that dilemma that you see on Hawks, where it's just like, this guy in a different world would have been the same thing as me, but it's just like he did stuff for the bad people. He was trying to save the bad people. And the fact that, like, I didn't think Hawks was going to have to kill Twice. Like, when that happens, I'm just like, I remember sitting there, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I look at Hayden, I'm like, he's not really dead. And before I can say he's not really dead, he's like, no, he's dead. And I'm like, dude, I, I was just not, like I said, I was just not expecting that to happen, and I was super bummed. And I was like, I didn't even know I liked this character as much. Like you said, it was just what Horikoshi does. He gets you hooked on these characters because he makes you think about them in a different way. It's just not black and white. There is a lot of gray through this entire show. This show is 100% gray. It's not good and bad. It's like maybe it might be a little good, maybe it might be a little bad. What it's good for them might be bad for somebody else. So it's never ending. It's always in flux. But yeah, man, like when Twice went, I was like, oh shit. And then you see Dobby just capitalize on that. And I'm like, oh fuck, Hawks is gonna go too. Please don't do this because I actually like Hawks a lot. I didn't know I liked Twice as much, but I like Hawks a lot. I know I like him. I'm getting fearful for Hawks at this point. Like you said, Tokiyama comes in and saves the day, man. Um, but as we start to transition into what comes after, this part here, man, what were some of your highlights from that initial raid, the initial attack with Makia, and then the initial attack with the Liberation Army?
I mean, just pretty much everything we spoke upon about, man. Like it's
Yeah.
just, um, I don't know. I can't really explain it because it's just at this point, like I said earlier in this podcast, like this is all climax. This is
Hmm.
like all in. Like chips are in. Like they're all betting on this one opportunity to
Hmm.
change the game between the heroes and the villains. So there's so much at stake, and I think that's what it is that makes this arc so important. Is that everything's at stake at this point, because until the second half of the season we don't viewers don't know how this is going to turn out.
Hmm.
And so like it's more so like, man, what are we, as in the heroes, what are we going to do with the villains who have this kind of power? Like not just, like I said, they it's not just powers that they have, it's like physical manpower that they have the Liberation Army with them. Like they have a bunch of dudes who are willing to die for like the cause of Shigaraki
Hmm.
and all the other villains. So it's just a big like up in the air kind of thing. And then I guess just seeing how the students like take like how they absorb this kind of like information. You mentioned something about like PTSD or some sort of trauma. Like, dude, these are we forget that these are high school kids. Like, so
Yes.
imagine being like 15, 16, you're on the job like this with like real heroes. It's
Hmm.
like that kind of like, I guess you could say, like that kind of taking in that kind of like moment, or being a part of something very uh adrenaline rushed or something like that. Like it could either make or break a kid,
Yeah.
and seeing these young heroes go through this and seeing what real life is, and not just this slice of life high school, let's go play and practice our quirks.
Hmm.
That life and death is real, and that it's on the line. And are you going to fight for it, or are you going to hide? So it really tests the true characteristics of the the UA students, especially the UA students. And I think the part where Toga kind of like challenges Uraraka, like
Hmm.
I could be forgetting some major points, but like just seeing her like kind of challenge Uraraka, and you see that they both are fighting for the cause that they believe in, and then
Yeah.
Toga just leaves like that. So it kind of like you kind of see that there are you see both sides of the same coin essentially.
Absolutely, man. You see the yin and you see the yang, man. So
Yeah,
it was interesting to see that both of their convictions were so strong, either for or against one another.
yeah,
But the fact that they were both unwavering in their beliefs, I just, like I said, I'm blown away that this kind of feeling can be elicited out of me just by something that's fictitious, right? Something that's not real. I know it's fake. It's animated. It's a cartoon. It's, you know, like everything on paper, you're just like, fuck, dude. It's just like, why should I care? And then they give you a reason to care every single episode, every piece of dialogue, every scene, they give you a reason to care because you can feel the characters caring, right? And like I said, you wrapped it up in some, you surmised it really well. It was such a beautiful moment. And then, like I said, you see the destruction, you see the devastation they're left with, you see the uncertainty on so many of these people's faces. And then pressure does one of two things: it either bust pipes or it makes diamonds. It creates a diamond. And you see a lot of people, a lot of the heroes deflated after this initial first arc, the first half of the season. And we'll
Yep.
get to that in just a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. But it's just, it was so interesting to see what despair looked like. And you could look at it and you could tell without any kind of words, without seeing anything before, you could look at these characters. And it was like, you ever seen that movie Saving Private Ryan?
Yes.
So that initial first 5 minutes is the craziest 5 minutes I've ever seen of something, right? So bombs are going off, dudes are getting like their hearing lost, people are blowing up and getting shot to death in front of them. And all this shit happened in real life, ladies and gentlemen. So it's just like seeing all of that, but then they're putting that on 16-year-old kids in an animated show. You're just like, holy shit. Like you said, this is the climax, but this is when shit gets real, and shit gets even realer, ladies and gentlemen. And so we're going to transition into, Shigaraki's out. He's finally just laid waste. He's looking for Deku, essentially. And it's what, Aizawa, it's Deku, it's Bakugo's there, Endeavor's there. And then Shigaraki, not in full form because, he did get woken up just a little earlier than what they had anticipated and expected. So he's not at full capacity just yet, but he's hitting on all cylinders. And this fight sequence, this felt like Dragon Ball Z, but without Dragon Ball Z, how it was stretched out so many episodes. Everybody was powering up, everybody was fighting. I was more emotionally attached to this than probably anything else that I've seen. Well, no, that's not true because I watched Attack on Titan this year. But this is one of those things where I was so emotionally attached to. And like, I felt like I didn't blink. Like, by the time I felt like Aizawa, my eyes were needed. I needed eye drops in my eyes, dude. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. So when this fight sequence is going on, man, what are some of the first thoughts for you seeing this? It's like, oh shit, this is really happening now.
Dude, this is the part of the show that I was waiting the most to get animated
Yeah.
because you see that Shigaraki is like, again, he knows, his resolve is there. He knows what he wants, he knows what he has to do to be the ultimate villain, I guess, or to make his dream or his vision come true.
Mm-hmm.
And Deku's the one that's in his way. And so um seeing Shigaraki just like, kind of like antagonize Deku and even like, you know, emotionally test him too. And just you see that Deku is like, oh man, I can't let this guy near anyone that I'm
Yeah.
trying to save or any of the pro heroes, because if I'm there, he's gonna kill everyone around me just to
Mm-hmm.
get to me. So that's why they split off. And then just seeing that, like, Deku, now that he has more quirks, he's been working on his other quirks. You see that his training is paying off too. But then, man, like, it is such a tough fight because I guess Shigaraki's decay quirk is such a like it, he's like the Kobe Bryant of his quirks. Like, that's
Yes.
the biggest issue that you're gonna be facing when you're fighting Shigaraki. So they have to find a way to isolate that quirk. And just seeing that it took all those pro heroes, and even like, I love how they did Aizawa. Like they use Aizawa, and then they had the guy with the water quirk to like keep his eyes hydrated.
Yes.
So I love little details like that. So that's the only way to stop his decay quirk. So man, it was just, I can't put it to words, man. It's just, you see the sense of urgency there, and you just see that, dude, like Shigaraki's not like, just, he's not talking no more, because
Yeah.
every time he ran into Deku, it was always like a threat. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
you keep this up, eventually we're gonna cross paths. He's not threatening no more. He's gonna go and kill.
Absolutely, man. And one thing that while you were saying that, it made me think of, it's just like, this isn't Quirk versus Quirk anymore. You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is Will versus Will. This is all this is. This is who is going to last longer, who is essentially going to break their bodies to a point where they are no longer in existence, who is going to take it literally and figuratively, plus Ultra. And they both go plus Ultra. And one thing I really wish that we would have talked about before we rolled right into the this season was the intro to this season. Man, this is probably as far as aesthetically goes. This isn't my favorite song for the season. It's probably like 2 or 3 seasons ago for the first part. I'd have to go back and like really pinpoint it in. But as far as the animation goes for the intros for these, you see Deku putting out his hand, and then the essential little scared kid that was Shigaraki, that was Tomura, getting jettisoned out of the body that he is ultimately in now, and you see Deku trying to help this kid. And ladies and gentlemen, that'll come up down the road. But perfect foreshadowing in this intro. But like I said, seeing Deku literally go blow for blow, hand for hand, quirk for quirk with Shigaraki during this time. This is probably my favorite fight sequence in any anime, with the exception of the Cell Saga. I still think that's pretty god tier in itself. However, this is also 20 years down the road now. So this one probably thus far is one of the best fight sequences, one of the most things that I've been so just invested in, both physically, emotionally, and mentally. Seeing them finally, come to blows. I mean, I'm transported back when Shigaraki's literally tapping his finger on Deku's neck a few seasons back, and he's like, "That's all it
Yeah.
takes is just me wrap this last finger around your neck, and then you're done." And then now he doesn't even have to use his hands. It's just like, all right, man, that side's done, that side's done. And like you said, that little detail of just Aizawa, my favorite teacher, getting the eye drops in his eyes, man, or the water, just so he's completely lubricated and hydrated, so he doesn't have to blink. So spot on. When this fight sequence is going on, you'll see Endeavor come in, you'll see Shoto eventually come in, you'll see Bakugo come in. Do you think the fight sequence, was it trimmed down at all? Was it just as long? Was it a little bit longer in the manga than it was in the anime? Did they stretch it out a little bit in the show, or?
I think they stretched out a little bit in the anime.
Mhm,
But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I read the manga first, so my initial feelings when I read the manga, I think I was more invested in the manga versus the anime.
mhm.
Because like not because reading the manga, I know what's gonna happen next. It's just more so
Yeah.
like seeing how they're gonna animate it. So my emotions were more into the manga. Like it was just like when you're turning the pages or scrolling through the pages,
Mhm.
it's just like a big oh shit moment. It's like, yo, this is what's happening. Oh man, this is what's
Yeah.
happening. And then in the anime, like it's just to see what can they do differently. Like do they add more, I guess what are the sound effects like, or do they add more fight scenes, or like we were saying before we recorded, like with Demon Slayer, they added a bit more to the fight scenes because they had the budget to do it. So
Yeah.
does the animation team do that with My Hero? But it was pretty like spot on. It's just
Mhm.
I guess had I not read the manga, I think I probably would have been more hyped about it. But still, nonetheless, like I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to reading it and catching up. Well, getting to a point where I don't have to, speculate what's coming next. Really, is what I'm getting at. But yeah, man, this is what I love, because you know what's coming next, and I don't. So it's very interesting on, like, when you break down in episode. It's like watching a show 2 and 3 times, right? After the first time you're watching it through, you're definitely looking for something else. Like, did something happen in the background when this was going on? Did they say something that I might not have picked up? So like I said, you've got a little bit of a heads up than most people do because you're reading it, but you get to also absorb more details, and then you're bringing more details that I might have forgotten, or I just looked away or looked past because I'm watching it. All these pretty lights going on. These fights are happening. This you see, like I said, it's will versus will now at this point. It's them throwing hands, and who's going to win. And like I said, you'll see Endeavor come in, and then Deku starts, like you said, realize that if I have any of these people near me, Shigaraki's going to kill them just to get to me. That's how petty Shigaraki is. He's
Yeah.
just going to kill everybody just to get what he wants, man. And one of those moments where I literally jumped off the couch, man. Bakugo jumping in front, not realizing it, pulling a move that Deku did to save Bakugo so long ago, and ends up getting sliced up by old Shigaraki. Ladies and gentlemen, spoiler alert. Like I said, this is all My Hero spoilers at this point. But him jumping in front, saving Deku, dude, that hit me so goddamn hard. I was not ready for it. Like, this is one of those scenes, like I said, brought me to tears. There's two parts in this one that brought me to tears, but that one in particular, did it hit you as hard as it hit me? I know you were expecting it, but did it get you in the feels?
Dude, when the manga
I can
dropped
tell it is.
when the manga dropped before that part, man, like I made sure I read it before anyone spoiled it, because
Hmm.
that was like one of the chapters that, like, if you didn't read it, you're gonna see it in comments on Facebook. You're gonna see it on Instagram stories. You're gonna see it on Twitter trending. So I made sure I woke up before the chapter dropped, and then when it did drop on time, I read it. And
Hmm.
I'm just glad that I read it before people did, because a lot of like my Facebook friends or like Instagram people that I follow, like they were like, oh my god, this is what happened, they'll like, spoiler alert, but then it's a big old picture of what's been spoiled,
Yeah.
so you can't, like, you can't save your eyes
Can't
from it.
hide
But
from it.
yeah. But dude, it was just, I guess the lead up to that too, because like, um it wasn't really Shigaraki that did it, but it was All For One,
Yes.
because Endeavor does the prominence burn attack and burns the living shit out of Shigaraki, and he stabs Endeavor too. And my heart dropped at that part, because
Hmm.
you're seeing Deku up in the sky, like he knows, like, I cannot drop these people on the ground. The moment we touch the ground, Shigaraki is going to use his quirk, because apparently he can't use his quirk in the air. He has to touch something. So Deku's going all out, doing all his smash moves, Detroit, Texas, North Carolina, whatever state he's
Hmm.
throwing at Shigaraki. And you just see Deku, like this is where, like, I have a little love hate with Deku, because when Deku gets emotional, he doesn't think no more. He doesn't care anymore, and that's what, like, Bakugo calls him out on all the time too,
Yeah.
where like he's tearing his body apart just to make sure everyone's safe. And I love this little part where Bakugo's like, hey, Shoto, use your ice, cool down your dad. I'm gonna blast this up there, and Endeavor, you take him and you finish him off. Like, Bakugo's already like making these big plays in his mind,
Yes.
and when it gets to that point, like I said, where All For One does prominence burn, he gets stabbed, he drops out the sky, and then All For One attacks Deku. And there's like the little quote there, where Bakugo says, like, all of a sudden my body moved on its own, like,
Yes.
essentially, like, that's like the essence of every My Hero character. Like, that's what All Might was trying to teach these kids. Like, once you move on your own without thinking, like, that's what makes you a hero. And we see that, all this time, Bakugo, even though he's a dick to Deku, he has hero instincts. And man, just seeing that, and then, like, you see, in because of the anime and the manga ended off that same way too, where it's just like, he gets stabbed and cut off, like cliffhanger into the
Yeah.
next episode. But yeah, man, like, that was a very gut wrenching scene. Like, I didn't, I guess my theory on it before we found out what happened after was like, could he possibly be dead? Because
Hmm.
you don't know what Horikoshi would do. And of course, this is very kid. I don't want to say kid friendly, but it's geared towards a younger audience. So, is it would Horikoshi even consider killing off a character that's as important as Bakugo? So that is like a big play. So I think that the anime and the manga did that so well. Just to give the viewers a heart attack, especially
Dude,
Bakugo fans.
dude, I'm telling you, man, it hit me like I'm trying to hold it back now because I'm putting myself back in that spot and seeing that for the first time. And then I remember just like looking away really quick because I had my dogs right next to me. And I remember just petting, and it's like right before that moment happens where he gets stabbed. And then as I'm looking up, I'm seeing him float towards Deku. I'm like, what's going? And I'm like, oh fuck, no. And I'm just like, I'm standing at this point, scared the shit out of all of my dogs around me. I'm pretty sure I woke up everybody in the house, excluding Hayden, because he was sitting right next to me. And I'm like, oh my God, no, no, no. Like, I am going through the 7 stages of what's it called? Of loss or whatever it is. Like, and all of them are hitting all at once. Like, I'm seeing like my favorite student, like my at the end of the day, if I had to choose just one, it's Bakugo, hands down, man. He is such a we've had so many talks about Bakugo in particular on the many episodes we've done together, but like his character development, his character growth, his character arcs is second to none in my opinion, man. And seeing that scene, it literally, I felt like I was getting cut, like Bakugo was getting cut, man. It hurt and it cut real deep. And then I was lucky enough, and it sucked the next day because I was extremely tired at work, but I had one episode because we were a week behind. So I looked at Hayden. I'm like, I don't give a shit if you go to school late tomorrow. I can't go to work late tomorrow, but we're watching this next episode. It's like 11:30 at night. I've got to be up at 3:30. I didn't give a shit. So we're playing the next one, and then I think we probably cut it off like 10 minutes into it when they or 15 minutes, whatever it was, or it might not even been that whole episode. I think they might have skipped that episode. And then the following episode is when you kind of see Bakugo get picked up off the ground, Shoto taking him off. I can't remember how it really played out, but I remember there being a little bit of time you're not knowing 100% like if Bakugo was dead or alive. But yeah, man, that scene in particular, and then you see Deku go apeshit. You see him
Yeah.
just literally go balls to the wall, man. Like I said, they did everything and then some with that scene. To me, I felt like I probably lost a good 5 to 6 years off of my life just by just how hurt and shocked and scared I was to see Bakugo possibly dying, man. And obviously, ladies and gentlemen, Bakugo he doesn't die in this season. This like I said, I hope he doesn't die at all. But he doesn't die eventually. He gets helped off and carted off, and then you'll see a toss up, or not a toss up, excuse me. You see both Shigaraki and Deku brought into. Did they ever say what it is? Was it alternate dimension? Like obviously they're all in there. What is it?
Uh,
All for
I
one,
I,
one for
I want
all.
to say it's like it's I don't want to say it's a dimension, but it's like it's in like the realm of their quirk, like the one for
Yeah.
all quirk. Because one for all initially came from all for one. He gave it to his brother, and then his brother
Hmm.
passed it on to the other vestiges of the quirk. But then it was more so that all for one made contact with Deku,
Hmm.
and because he was trying to take the quirk, that's where the wielders of one for all stopped him. They're like, "Yo, we're not letting you
This
take
isn't
this quirk,
happening.
man."
Yeah,
Yeah.
this ain't
So,
happening.
but you get to see like um I guess you get to see what's inside Deku's mind too. Like he sees the first wielder, and then you see Nana Shimura, the Shigaraki's grandma, All Might's
Hmm.
teacher. You see her come in, and you kind of see that All for One and Shigaraki, their body is not ready to take that quirk yet because physically, All for One's not there. He's still in the Tartarus prison. It's just
Hmm.
his mind that's in Shigaraki. So you kind of see that it's like a battle of minds, sort of. I think of like you watched the episode of South Park where Eric was like, where Cartman's like having the mind powers and he's going off with like
Yeah.
the other. Yeah, it's kind of like that. So
Yeah.
that's what I think of. It's like that, but yeah, it's just more so you kind of see him like just that those
Hmm.
characters and they're being introduced and stuff like that. So I thought in the manga it was a lot better than the anime. The anime made it really short, but I
Yeah.
mean compared to the what you read, it is pretty short too. But it's just um I guess I expected a little bit more from the anime,
Hmm.
but it doesn't really matter because what comes after that is way better.
Absolutely. And we're gonna jump. We'll probably skip a couple details here, man. But we'll after this one, after they come into and meet all the vestiges, and then more quirks are opened up. We're gonna flash forward just a little bit, and then we start seeing, what I've called probably since what season were they attacked in the forest when they were training? Was that season two, season three?
Season 3.
Season three, and you get to meet Dobby, I think, for the first time there, maybe somewhere around there, you get to meet
Mm-hmm.
Dobby. And for the longest time, and Hayden wasn't, too caught up on the books at that time. I was like, man, he looks an awfully lot like Todoroki. I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the eyes. I don't know if it's just the facial features or just what his body was. But the fact that he was fired, and you don't see that too often in Heroes, that quirk. And then I was like, man, I really wonder. And then as it started progressing more and more and more, I'm like, man, I really think he's a part of the Todoroki family. And then like I said, it's spoiler it, man. It's revealed that this is Toya, Endeavor's oldest son. Um, the only thing that I did not like, I thought I was going to sneeze for a second. The only thing that I did not like about this entire part right here with Dobby was the whole Kevin Bacon. What was that dancing movie? Shit. Fuck,
Footloose.
I can't. Footloose. Thank you. That whole Footloose scene on Gigantomachia, I was like, dude, you just made yourself look horrible. Why would you do this? You're such a badass character. Why are you dancing what is going on? Like that's the only thing I didn't like. You know, I like the whole reveal. He had like the secret tape that was leaked and everything like that. You really got to see Endeavor essentially break
Mm-hmm.
uh mentally and emotionally. And then you think this character that is so grizzled, so hardened, yet he's trying to change to be better for his family. And then you, like I said, you see that man snap. You see his whatever was left of his psychology or whatever was left of his mental capabilities just dissipate from him. You know, I was blown away when it happened, but I kind of knew it was going to be, you know, a Todoroki. But I was completely blown away with how I felt towards Endeavor because I already liked that character so much. I think he's just like Bakugo, man. Such a great character arc, such a great character development. And then you see another thread essentially woven into this. And I'm just like, holy shit, this just got even more real, man. I mean, what were some of the things that you know that brought out that little part of that story arc brought out for you?
There's a lot that came out because you mentioned the how you were theorizing that he was a Todoroki. Like um one thing that I guess I learned from watching anime, especially from one of my late cousin, he told me like he was like if you want to know if a character or characters are I guess family most of the time, it's the eyes. And so when
Yeah.
you go back and look at season 3 where they initially run into Dobby in the league first, you remember when Bakugo was the little bead from the
Hmm.
magician villain
Yeah.
and Dobby snatches it? Like Dobby's like, oh, like it's too bad, Shoto. Like he calls him by his name,
Yeah.
and you see like you see their eyes, they're like because Dobby has the blue eyes like Endeavor, and then Shoto has one eye that's blue like Endeavor. So you kind
Hmm.
of see that comparison there, and just to see that this reveal, I thought it was better in the manga because like the dancing part, it's in a panel, so you're not like seeing him twirl around, So
Yeah.
uh in the
He didn't
anime,
look
I was
as
like,
douchey.
yeah, because like reading it, he was giving me like Joker kind of vibes, like when
Yes.
he's like laughing and like taunting Endeavor, like this is all your sins and we're all gonna burn in hell together type of deal, and like man, just to see Endeavor like snap, and I think the part that got me the most was he was telling like he was trying to say to Dobby, he's like, I looked for you in that forest, like I was trying to like it was never like you see that Endeavor never hated his kids. It was just like he wanted to be the best so bad that the consequences of his actions like came back to bite him in the ass. And this is exactly what it was. All that karma came back, and he man,
Hmm.
just like I guess just seeing how, especially hearing the voice actor like say it too, you can hear and feel the sadness and regret that Endeavor has because he's like, man, if I didn't do this to Toya, like none of this would be happening right now. And just to
Absolutely.
see him like be emotionally broken, and then Shoto, man, like Shoto, for the ones who don't watch sub, Shoto is also voiced by Yuki Kaji, who plays Eren in Attack on Titan, and his emotional range as a voice actor is one of my favorites because when Shoto's like, "Dad, get up." Like we have to deal with this later. Like we have to deal with this right now. Like snap out of it. And he's freaking out. Like, dude, even in the manga, I was like tearing up reading it because you see that like even because Shoto's crying too. Like he can't he's like, dude, this is my big brother, man. Like this is someone who I thought was dead all these
Hmm.
years, and he's come back to hurt us. It's like Shoto's trying to tell us that like this family shit can wait. Like this is right now. We got to get up and do something right now because Bakugo's down, Deku is down. Like there, who's gonna help us when we're surrounded? Because not just Dobby's there, it's Gigantomachia and like the rest of the leagues there. And man, like that was such a like not tough scene, but it was such an emotional like the meme like emotional damage. Emotional damage.
Yeah.
Like it's like it was like that. It's just seeing like how all that just hit the heroes at once because like you think it's already bad enough that we got to see Bakugo and Deku get hurt like that and they're out of play, and now the villain showed up. It's just like kicking you while you're down, and it just
Hmm.
it was so like gut wrenching, and they did it so well.
Yeah, it was definitely a kick in the dick for sure. And then that scene with him coming back like, "Dad, come on, get up," type of thing. That
Yeah.
was like that hit me differently because I'm a dad, right? So seeing that and then I just get transported into Endeavor's position, right? And my kid telling me to get up. And then that's like the first time Shoto looked back and needed his dad and his
Yep.
dad was not there. That's why that scene in particular hits so hard, man. Such a beautiful little arc, man. And like I said, it's just seeing Shota get burnt up the way he did is like, oh fuck, here's another. They just kept coming with the hits. I was like, Jesus Christ, they're gonna take out all of these goddamn kids that I like. Stop it, Horikoshi. Please stop. Quit fucking with my emotions so much, you know? But so we see that happen, and then we get the reveal that Best Genius comes back, right?
Yep.
And not to overshadow Best Genius, I think I actually texted you when it happened, but you see a blur go by the screen when all of this
Oh,
shit is going on.
oh,
Brother, that dude, so here's the thing, and this is what I was alluding to earlier when I said I wanted to fight my 13-year-old, right? On multiple occasions, you want to fight a 13-year-old almost every day when you become a parent. But Hayden is actually in the kitchen and he's grabbing a drink or he's grabbing a snack. He might have been grabbing popcorn or something like that. And then I see it and I see the fucking color scheme. And I'm like, holy shit. And Hayden's like, what happened? I was like, get out of here quick. And then I rewound it. And then I was like, do you see that? He was like, no. And so I did it again. And I was like, dude, that was a blur. And he still didn't, I don't know what it was going on with him. Right. So we get to the episode and I was like, dude, this is what the blur was. It was Lemillion. He was like, yeah, I know. I already read ahead of this. And I'm like, dude, this is exactly why nobody likes kids. I was like, that's the reason right there. Why are you shitting on my parade? I'm like happy tears at this point because we finally get Lemillion back, ladies and gentlemen. I was so fucking pumped to see our boy Rico Fajardo stepping back onto the screen and permeating through everybody. Man, this was like when I think of highlights of this series, this is probably like my favorite, like not favorite moment, but it was like my favorite highlight or my favorite, like, hey, you're getting this character that was so emotionally gut wrenched when he lost his quirk. When you see him last and he's literally protecting Erie and he's taking this bullet and then he's got these spikes coming through him and you see the devastation on him and the fact that he gave everything and then you see him lose everything and then you see him come back and I'm like, let's fucking go. I was
I
so
was
pumped to see this.
I was like a little kid watching a movie in
Dude.
the theater, dude. I was like in my living room and I was watching it with my cousin's girlfriend. She watches My Hero too, and I was like clapping I was applauding. I was like, "Yo, let's fucking go, let's go!" Like the thing is, like, I already know what happens. Right? I know this happens in
Yeah.
the manga, but then like I guess the part where they show his cape, I
Mm-hmm.
don't. Listeners or viewers, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that's in the manga, like because in the manga it was just like you see the
Like
big
a
moments,
blur.
and then yeah, you see like the fights and Genus is like using his quirk and all that stuff, tying down Gigantomachia. But then in the manga you see his face come up.
Mm-hmm.
That's where his reveal is. But in the anime, excuse me, in the anime when you see him fly by, dude, dude, I
If I had
I
a
was
table, I
like,
would have flipped it.
dude, I was like, because I don't know. I as a fan of Lemillion, I was just like geeking out. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I was like, why did they have to show him like that too? I wish in my only complaint is I wish they just showed him immediately, like
Yeah.
out of nowhere. That little tease with his cape, that was cool enough, but like that kind of like already solidifies to the viewer like he's back. But I wish
Mm-hmm.
it was more so like a surprise cameo where all this intensity is coming and then you just boom, you see him power, just like
Yeah.
holy shit. You're like I thought that would have been a much more like amazing reveal. But nonetheless, man, seeing the best boy come back,
Mm-hmm.
dude, like it gets so hard to decide if I like Bakugo more or Lemillion more,
It
because
is.
like because we both had the opportunity to speak with Rico, and so like that makes me like Lemillion that much more.
Mm-hmm.
And so like just to see him come back and just with the big smile and then like fight off the Nomus, and I was like,
Yes.
dude, like make him the main character, man. Like make Lemillion the main character because he is like, dude, that was I'm stuttering now. Like that's how excited I got seeing him come back. Like that was the highlight for me of that season. That was the part out of everything that I watched this past season, that was what I wanted to see the most, was to see him come back because he deserved it. Lemillion deserves all that shine to come back. He
Mm-hmm.
deserves all the praise, all the shine. But one of the best characters.
Absolutely, man. While DC fans might not get a Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill or Henry Cavill, however you say his last name, we did get a Man of Steel 2 essentially when we saw our boy Lemillion pop right back up center screen. And then the fact that he's like, oh, somebody help me. I fucking loved it because he's been out of action for so long. The last time we see him, and this is one of my favorite moments of Lemillion is when obviously he doesn't have his powers, but he's helping the 1A students. And then he's standing on a ledge and it's like, oh, you have to save all these people. And he's like, oh no, here I go. I'm falling again. And
Yeah.
he's saluting as he's falling over. It's just, I love this character because what I love about Bakugo is the fact that I'm so like, I want to say I'm so much like Bakugo because I do have that trigger temper like Bakugo. But if you're on my side, I'm going to die for you. I am going to put myself in the way to drag us whatever it is. Like I am that guy through and through. But I see Lemillion, right? And he's everything I want to be. He's always smiling, even when there's nothing to smile about. He's always going to be that face that somebody looks to when it's bleakest. They're looking for that all might smile, right? It's there's something so special about that character. I can't wait to see what happens with him because, that was the only time we really get to see, Lemillion in the season. And they had the Hulk effect in the Marvel movies, right? Why was the Hulk so fantastic? Is because you saw him this much in
Yeah.
everything. You only saw him when it was break glass in need of like it was like you needed that axe, you needed that fire extinguisher for that fire. It was break glass in case of Lemillion, break glass in case of Hulk. And that's what we got. Just enough to be like, oh shit, it's going to go down. And that whole fight sequence, we'll skip over a little bit because, like I said, we got an entire second arc to get through. But that fight sequence and seeing our boy pop back up, man, I could not have been happier. Where I was devastated with Bakugo, I was so elated to see him come back. If I would have had a dining room table or a table in my living room, I would have flipped that son of a bitch through the window. I was so happy to see our boy come back, man. Um, so as we're rotating from this one, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see just the pure devastation that is left in the wake of these villain and heroes clashing. You see, we kind of cut over like Aizawa literally cutting his leg off because he gets hit with that bullet. That was another gut-wrenching moment for me because
Oh
he is
yeah,
my
we forgot to bring
favorite.
that up. And then when
Yeah.
Shigaraki touches his face.
Yes, scratches his
Oh
face and takes his eye, brother. When I saw that, I'm like, that was the first time probably since All Might's flame getting extinguished and then Bakugo getting sliced up, like probably an episode or so before. I was like, oh shit, please don't take this guy because, like I said, for the longest time, like when you first introduced to this dude that we talked about on my first episode, I thought he was a stoner. He rolls in a sleeping bag. He's got a Capri Sun. I was like, this is my people. This is what I'm here for, right? And then you fall in love with this guy because he's so hard on these kids that he's training these kids because he knows what's outside these walls. He's making sure these kids are absolutely ready for war because that's exactly what they're going to go through. And sure as shit, here we are 4 seasons later, 5 seasons later, whatever it is, and they're going to war with the League of Villains. So, we see him cut his leg off. We see him taken away. We see, like I said, just the devastation and destruction. We
oh,
see,
not to cut you
go
off.
ahead, go ahead.
Gran Torino too. Gran Torino got hurt.
That one was tough. Him getting stomped, and I'm like, oh fuck. And then for the longest time, I was wondering. We'll get to this in just a second, but I was wondering where that. I was like, why does that yellow seem so familiar that Deku is wearing? And then obviously it gets brought up. But you see the heroes broken. You see the people, just the regular day to day people broken. You see students broken. You see people second guessing what they did was right, what they did was wrong. You see so much doubt. That was one thing that they doubt and despair should have been the name of this show because that's what you see through every single person. You see what war would really be like if that was real life. You would see what would happen, the after effects, the aftermath of something devastating like that happening to an entire culture, to an entire people, So I felt like they hit that. I don't want to keep hitting on post-traumatic stress, but you see that within these characters. You see them shooken to the core of their beliefs. And then what we said earlier, man, pressure does one of two things. busts pipes or builds diamonds, and you see a lot of diamonds getting built out of this. You also see a lot of busted pipes throughout the series too, after the aftermath of this war. And like I said, we're going to see a lot of these guys end up in the hospital. A lot of them wrapped up, trying to recover from their injuries. Deku is obviously in a coma. He's going through the alternate dimension, or he's talking with the previous holders. So he's trying to figure out. He's learning more about these quirks. From One for All, and we kind of see him wake up, and then he leaves UA. He leaves everybody with a note saying, "Hey, I'm going away from UA," because All for One's last words to him were, "Now it's your turn." And that is one of the most foreboding sentences, one of the most foreboding, that's the right word, phrases that I've ever seen. It's like, that's terrifying. That shakes Deku to his core. And he knows if he stays in UA, ladies and gentlemen, that nobody is safe. So he does what he thinks is right, and he leaves UA. I don't know if this was just a thing that was going around on the internet. Maybe you can clarify this one. But was he actually called Dark Deku? I know a lot of people were talking, through Facebook and shit. I saw Dark Deku.
Yeah, I honestly I don't know. I preferred Vigilante Deku over
Yeah.
Dark Deku. I think the whole
Mhm.
Deku thing was more so like his emotional state and just how he
Yeah.
looked, because he does
Yeah, he was
look
an
more
emo
like
kid for
a
sure.
yeah, he does look more like a anti-hero, I guess. Um but yeah, excuse me. I would prefer Vigilante Deku just because he's not like with UA at this time. Like he's still under
Hmm.
he's fighting outside of UA. But yeah, just like to pick up from this, from the aftermath of just this war, right? So like you see that Deku is definitely shook, but like it's also like when you see, it's just you see what All for One does to him mentally, like
Hmm.
like the same thing he did to All Might. He's fucking with Deku that same way.
Oh yeah.
He knows like, oh, you're an emotional person too, so all I gotta do is just talk smack to you and you just get mad,
Hmm.
So like All for One knows what he's doing. He knows
Yes.
that he has to antagonize this kid to come out so that he can try to get him. But then at the same time, the heroes don't really know, like they don't know what they're like they don't know what they're each other's strategizing, because after like right when Deku leaves, you kind of see that All for One is already plotting. He knows
Hmm.
like, okay, so Shigaraki, we got his body, that just get out, because he's already beat up. We got to get him out, let him recover, so that potentially he can try to take over his body. But when Deku leaves, and like it was just, you see the aftermath of him, Bakugo and Shoto, man. Like even after Bakugo got hurt, which I love the scene too. He's like, "You better not die of me, man, because
Yes, I'm gonna
I'm
kill
gonna be
you.
the one that kills you." And like you see Mineta and Sero try to hold him back, and
Hmm.
like Bakugo, you're supposed to be in the hospital bed. You can't be walking around. You just got stabbed. Like you gotta chill out. And it's just a lot of these little things that like that is pretty much the aftermath of this. And then yeah, even like with the Shoto and his father, like just how they kind of resolved to be like, right, our main mission is to stop Dobby, like when his family finally comes together after all these years to finally agree on something, and it's just a lot of these resolutions come about. And then you brought up Deku, like when he wakes up from the vestiges, that meeting was important because like that in that meeting of the other holders, you see that Deku is also being tested on, like, are you
Hmm.
willing to kill him? Are you willing to kill Shigaraki? Because that might be something you have to do as a hero, not just for the people, but because of his powers, because it's all for one. And even like Nana Shimura is like, she's, and especially out of all the holders, she's the one that asks him and requests him, like, can you kill him? Like, if you have to, can you kill him? And Deku being, the pinnacle of like plot armor, he's like, no, I'm not gonna kill him. I'm gonna
Hmm.
try to save him. And yeah, you kind of see that the holders are like, we got the right one. We got the best choice to
Yeah.
give this power to. That's where they kind of like start opening up their more of their powers to him, because you also learn that like One for All, because it's been so compiled and Deku hasn't used any of those quirks, they're all just like releasing all at once now,
Hmm.
because it's if he I don't want how can I say this, like it's kind of like if you don't use it, you lose it kind of deal. So
Yeah.
like they kind of tell him like you have to use these powers, and your emotions are attached to these powers too. So when you're angry, your powers are not going to be controlled. Like it's going
Hmm.
to be harder to control your powers. So the vestiges are also helping Deku develop and grow with his quirks. But then you also see the two in the back, which is number 2 and number 3, and those guys, I already know what their quirks are. And it's just like you see that these holders are also like trying to learn but also know who Deku is inside and out, because pretty much their lives are, or their subconscious, their power is in his hands.
Hmm.
And you also learned like the truth of One For All, right? Because the reason why his body works with One For All was because he was quirkless. and
Hmm.
and you learn that the lifespan of these heroes was cut short because they already had quirks. So they used the analogy of like the cup, like you pour more water into a half empty cup, it's gonna spill. And so
Hmm.
like that's what it was. And I love that analogy. And then you kind of people forget like All Might was quirkless too. So like one of my cousins like how did All Might survive? It's like, yeah, because he was quirkless. Like he
Hmm.
didn't have a quirk. He was lucky too. So they kind of reveal that Deku could possibly be the last wielder of this quirk. Like because now that the world is, there's more kids being born with quirks and all that, he might be the last one to have it. And so it's just a lot of these minor important details that come about, and then that's where they kind of like get to where Deku leaves. He leaves Iway with like Endeavor, Best Genius, and Hawks.
Dude, what a lineup too to leave with, man. I mean, the fact that
That's like all-star team, bro.
bro, that's the starting five that's going to
Yeah.
win any championship right there. I mean,
Yeah.
one thing, and then I don't know if we'll really go in sequential order. We might just, talk about our favorite parts for the second half
Mhm.
because there's so much that goes on. I mean, we've already been going for, probably about an hour and a half now. There's so much that happens in the second half of the show, the second half of the season, excuse me, that is like in itself, you could take each episode and probably just delve an hour into it because, like I said, you see Deku leave. You see him team up with the guys you just said. You see him Hawks, Best Genius, Endeavor. You see him knowing they're trying to fish out all what was it? One for all. No, all for one.
Yeah.
You see him trying to fish out them in the rest of the league. You see them trying to understand. Then you see the prisons getting broken out, and then all of these villains being released. You see the civilians arming themselves because they know in their hearts, or they feel like in their hearts, that they can no longer count on the heroes that were there, the heroes that were protecting the sectors and the cities that they were in, the jurisdictions they were in. A lot of them have just closed up shop and then went home. You see a lot of these guys retiring, a lot of these gals retiring and just fading into existence because, like I said, that morality, they were broken after this attack. They saw the devastation that was left in the wake of Shigaraki being awakened. So it's such a fascinating second half because getting like this entire second part, you're dealing, like I said, with the emotions of what comes next. How do we rebuild? Where do we go from here? We know that we can't go blow for blow with Shigaraki. It just won't happen. So how do we start putting ourselves in the position? Not to mention the fact that every single villain that has ever been put away is essentially out, and what I liked about this one is you saw so much more character development from all of these villains that kind of had just a little bit, like you saw a lot from Overhaul, but you see a broken Overhaul coming, an armless Overhaul because was it Mr. Compress or was it just Compress? Compress took one of his arms because he took one of Compress's arms, and then Shigaraki tore his other arm from him or decayed his other arm from him before he got locked up after the previous season, so you see these characters. And what was the lady's name that literally took her hair and then shot?
Oh,
Remember her
uh,
name?
Lady, Lady Nagant. I think it's her Nagant or Nagant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
I
go. Nagant or Nagant.
yeah.
Nagant. Yeah, Nangant, I think is what it was called. But like that was a pretty badass quirk. And then the fact that she had gotten the other quirk where she was wind walking essentially or whatever it
Yeah.
was. And then you see, like I said, you see all of this buildup. You see just the unrest with all of these civilians, the people that are afraid to put their trust in heroes because heroes let them down. Heroes didn't beat back the bad guys. and you're seeing essentially a Batmobile that both All Might and Best Jeanist are in. I'm just like, dude, what's going on? You see Hawks in a mask. He sounds like Vader. He's got little chicken wings essentially because he's still trying to heal. However, during this arc, there's two spots in particular that I really want three. One of them being Hawks's backstory. So I think we go then we go to Hellish Todoroki's, or we can do let's do Hellish Todoroki's, then Hawks, and then we'll finish it with Stain. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing exactly what My Hero did and laying the foundation. You see Stain walk up, and then you see some really cool shit happen towards the end. But the Hellish Todoroki's, you want to talk about a character arc, or not a character arc, excuse me, a story arc within a story within another story. Holy shit, was this one deep? This one could have been half of a season in itself, just those, what, 2 or 3 parts that we got for the Hellish Todorokis. But seeing how Endeavor and then I can't remember her name, but Shoto's mom comes in, how they meet up, how they connect, and then you find out it was all a Quirk marriage. They were just trying to make the strongest kid. And then you see Toya come in. Obviously, he ends up being Dobby, and him wanting to be, and then it's put into him from Endeavor that he's got to be better than All Might. He has to be the one that surpasses him because Endeavor can't. And then you see his body cannot keep up. His flames are the strongest from everybody, but his body just cannot take those flames. When this story arc is going on, what were some of the things that stuck out to you the most?
Um, in our group chat, I put a gif of
Yeah, you did.
Zuko versus Azula. That's exactly what I was thinking of. I mean, that's the best way I can wrap it up. Like it's just you see Dobby, and like you just feel bad for him, man. Like he's
Hmm.
been so brainwashed by his dad because like all he wanted was Endeavor's approval to be like, you can be a hero, or you can do this, you can do this. But then just imagine like your parents saying like, no, you can't do that no more. Like
Hmm.
after hyping you up for all these years, just like, no, you can't do that. And Endeavor doesn't even explain to him like why you can't do it. It's just like, no, you can't do it. Don't do it. That's it. Like a very typical Asian dad, just like don't do it, and then on to the next kid. Like
Yeah.
like Nabi never got that explanation. Like why can't I be a hero? And you see him like trying to one up Shoto, because once Shoto is born, you see him like devastated. Like dude, like I
Yeah.
was doing this for you all this time, and now you won't consider me no more. You just want to press on to Shoto. That, and even little Dabi was, or little Toya was like, dude, I'm gonna attack this fucker, man. Like
Yeah.
he tried to attack his own brother, and it was just a bad family dynamic, man. Like
Hmm.
I think all in all, I think it's everyone's fault. Like, or not everyone's, but it's the parents' fault, because
Absolutely.
not only was it not only was it Endeavor, but Shoto's mom too. She played a part in it because she didn't say nothing, and
Hmm.
she got caught up in her own emotions, and just to see that, like I said, man, just seeing that scene where Endeavor is like just mentioning like I looked for you, because you see that Dobby realizes his firepower. He realizes like, oh shit, like I can do these moves, but then it's also at the cost of his body. And
Yeah.
man, like just to see Endeavor like be broken and realize like, man, I see this, but at the same time, like at this age of Endeavor is just like, really, bro, like you lose your kid and yet you're still an ass. Like
Yeah.
you still want to be the best after losing your kid. It's just you kind of see that, man, like Endeavor was just so caught up in trying to be better than All Might, and that's poisonous, dude. Like that level of pride, or that level of like envy, you see it was not only hurting Endeavor, it was hurting his family.
Absolutely, man. You saw what would happen if Ebenezer Scrooge did not listen to those three ghosts and change his life, man. You saw what comes next, and you saw the dark road that Endeavor would go down. That's why I find him to be such just a fascinating character, because I could see so much of myself in Endeavor. Like, I don't want to say I'm hard on my kids. Like, I'm hard on the oldest one because, he's 13. I expect certain things out of him. I expect him to be a good person. I expect him to try his hardest. But, when I say I'm hard on my kids, I just hold them accountable for their actions. Like, you made a distinct choice, or a specific choice to do X, Y, and Z. So whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire here, no pun intended. I'm going to make sure that you understand that, hey, if you choose to go down this road, if you choose to go down that road, this is what's going to happen. And when you choose that, you kind of have to pay the piper with whatever comes next, man. Like I said, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm going to hold you accountable. So you see that, but then you also see like the despair he has and how much he wants to go back, but he's already down this road and his pride will not let him. His pride will be his downfall, and his pride is coming back in the form of Toya, evolving into this Dobby character. So you see the entire Todoroki family come together in unison. You say, hey, we're going to end this together. And this is the first time the Todorokis have been together probably since ever. I don't want to even say after Toya, because you saw the fractures in this family. You saw that Shoto hated him. You saw his older brothers and sisters, even though his older sister was trying to bring the family together. You saw Shoto's middle brother just hate Endeavor. You saw the mom hate Endeavor. So the fact that they all came together for this, I think, was just really beautiful. And you kind of start to see a backseat to a lot of these characters. You don't see too much from Endeavor. You see a little bit here and there, but Endeavor knows he can't really come into play. Hawks can't really come into play. Best Genius can't really come into play because, like I said, they are trying to draw out the League of Villains and Shigaraki and everybody with Deku. So you start to see a character that I've wanted backstories for quite some time, and that's Hawks. Very, pun intended, man, very cloak and dagger. And then you see why, because he's essentially, like you said earlier, he's CIA operative, essentially. You see this character, much like Shigaraki, you see this character that he comes from a dysfunctional family. His mom obviously has some kind of mental instability, whether it's something like bipolar or something like I can't remember what it's called, but it's like, I think it's dissociative disorder, something along those lines. She's not all there. So you see that, and then you see that he has an abusive dad that is a lifelong criminal, that's a murderer. And then he takes it out on him. He takes it out on the mom. And then you see Hawks's only salvation is this Endeavor doll. He sees Endeavor as the shining light. What All Might was to Deku is what Endeavor is to Hawks. It's that same age, and you see this dichotomy. You see this, man, I can't think of the words to like really break this down accurately, but you see the issues. Like anything could have happened to Hawks and made him go left or made him go right, made him go good or made him go bad. And the fact that he would have been outstanding as a villain, outstanding as a hero, is just speaks volumes to the level of character that is written into him, man. So when you're seeing this, I don't want to say Shigaraki light or diet Shigaraki origin story, because this origin story was phenomenal. But like I said, you could have seen him go bad or good. It just depends on what would have happened. But when you see this story arc kind of unfolding with Hawks, man, what were some of the highlights of this one for you?
It was more so like finally we got to see some backstory on Hawks,
Mm-hmm.
because like the writer did really well on just hiding Hawks' identity, because essentially that's what he is. He's an undercover agent. But
Mm-hmm.
to see that was his story, that was his come up, and like you said, he could have gone the villain route, but it was just more so he wanted to be so much like Endeavor, because excuse me, you could see that as a kid he wanted someone to save him too,
Yes.
and I guess him making just like that slight choice, or that choice difference there of being the one to save people because he wants to be saved, it got him to the hero position that he's at now, where when the government finds out like, yo, he saved everyone with his wings, like we could use someone like you, just let us train you, and we need you for this specific spot. And you see Hawks has come up, and at the same time, I do feel like in a way bad for him too, because now, as a kid, imagine being a kid growing up and you're just, I don't want to say groomed, but you're brought up in a world where no one really knows you and you're just an operative. Like
Yep.
your life purpose is now like to do these dangerous sought out missions that no one needs to know about.
Oh
It's
my God, it's Jason Bourne.
yeah,
I love
exactly.
that meme.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly who Hawks is. He's like the Jason Bourne of My Hero, because
Yeah.
dude, this guy, that's all, like essentially this is all he knows.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess in a way have a soft spot for Hawks, because like you said, with his background, man, like it's very sad to see that, like, him and his mom were out in the street, like they
Yeah.
were, like no one cared about them, and he all he had was just the Endeavor doll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It like it goes to show you, it's just like, because you can see. I've seen, I don't want to say I've seen stuff like that because I've never seen a kid with wings, but like that whole scene where you see him being abused from his father, you see him being neglected from his mother, you see, I've seen that in real world. I've seen that with my friends. I've seen that with just kids. You know, you're out and about and you see, a kid that's dirty as shit. His parents obviously don't give a fuck. They're yelling at him, they're cussing at him, they're telling me stupid. They're essentially unloading all of that adult baggage on a little kid. So you feel for Hawks as a character, and then you understand why he has such a, I don't want to say flip it in the wrong word, but you see that he does not get connected so much like every other hero would. Like he is very cold. Like behind his eyes, I don't know how they do it, but like you look at his eyes and he's like, dude, he's got shark eyes. He'll kill you if he has to. Like he has no
Yeah.
kind of emotional attachment. He is like a robot essentially. And then you see why. You see why he's so despondent and so detached from like a normal human being, even though, like I said, he is what the number two hero at that time. But you see why he is the way he is, and then it made me fall for that character so much more and appreciate like, oh fuck, he could have went bad, he could have broke bad and been like one of the greatest villains of all time, but he chose to hold on to that light that Endeavor showed him at such a young age. He gave him hope, so long ago. And I thought that was so fascinating and so beautiful, not only just for Hawks, but Endeavor, because I hope by the end of this series that maybe Endeavor gets to see that from Hawks, because I think it's something special. The whole reason I started this podcast was to give people thanks, man, to tell people that I really appreciated what they did. They made me feel some kind of way, good, bad, or indifferent, about something that I watched, something that I read, something that I absorbed, something that I talked about with my friends. So I hope that moment comes for Endeavor, because I do think he's one of the heroes that we probably won't see we won't see him make it to the end of the series alive. I do think he is one of those characters, but I really hope that we get to see Hawks give him that moment, because I think there's something very special when somebody can give you your flowers.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I think Endeavor probably. And I'm just theorizing and assuming. I think Endeavor does know that Hawks is a
Mhm.
fanboy, but I
Yeah,
think it would be very nice to see like Hawks show or have Endeavor see that kind of gratitude from Hawks,
hmm
where Hawks like, dude, like because of you, I'm where I'm at now. Like I have not been doing this because of you, because because everyone's so caught up with All Might. And imagine like being someone like Endeavor where you're chasing to be better than someone, and someone tells you like, dude, like you were the one that saved me, and it wasn't like
yeah.
All Might. So like I think that'll be a very heartfelt moment between those two heroes.
Do you think Hawks has a tattoo of Endeavor? And if so, why is it on his left or right calf?
I was thinking of the in Waterboy where the coach is like, what, like if your mama doesn't know, it won't hurt her, and his tattoos
Yeah,
on his ass. And that's
yeah.
how Hawks has the Endeavor tattoo on his ass cheek.
Oh God, I hope so. No, Colonel Sanders, you wrong. Mama right. Gatorade. Oh God, that's such a great movie. I believe I'd have to go back and fact check this because I was told this and I just went with it. But the Water Boy, the football scenes, you see the Bulldog Stadium. I believe that was actually one of our rival high schools. That was right up the road from us when I was younger.
Oh shit.
So I believe I'd have to go back and check it. But like when I was a kid and they told me that, I was like, oh shit. And then I moved out of that city and I just never thought to like fact check it. So I've went around and told people that my entire life. So I hope it's right. But I love that movie. But so flash forward in the head, man. So we see the Todoroki family come together. We see in Endeavor and Hawks and Best Genius and All Might kind of coming together to support Deku. We're seeing what was his name? Man, Deku fought the dude that just wrapped muscle on top of muscle. Remember his name?
Oh, muscular.
Oh man, I should have fucking known it was muscle on top of muscle, muscular. Some of these names are just so on the nose. I should know. But just seeing him fight that guy, I'm just thinking like, man, that dude is he makes my skin crawl. Just like his quirk is just I don't know, like I get like you remember when that there was like a meme or a gif going around and it looked like honeycomb or little circles and people's skin and stuff was sticking out. So there's like this
Oh yeah, that's like
this
a some sort of phobia or something like
yeah,
that.
right? So I remember that's what that feels like for me. It's just like I see him and I see this muscle disattach or unattach, whatever it might be, and then attach again and build up. It's just
Okay.
something very creepy about that. It's just like, dude, that's fucking gross. But like you see him fight him, and then he kind of gets his ass worn out a little bit. Deku beats the shit out of him. Um, and then we're seeing him fight Lady Nagant or Nagant, however you say her name, which was a badass episode. Just seeing that whole fight sequence, I was like, holy shit, dude, this is so cool. But the reason I bring that up is this one particular moment. I can't remember if Deku tells All Might this during this episode, or it might have been like a flashback, but All Might essentially goes like, oh, dude, you don't even look back anymore. You don't even look for confirmation. And this scene hit so hard. Like I keep bringing in my real life into the show, but I think that's what the mark of such a beautiful show is, when you can like pick out moments in your life where you can look at and you can see like, hey, maybe they were drawing from personal experience. So when Hayden first started karate, like I would sit there and I'd watch him, and then he was always looking at me to make sure I was watching him when he would fight, right? So I'm sitting here, I'm watching it, and like I would see that in my hero. And then it wasn't until this year, maybe this year, maybe at the end of last year, like where he would stop looking for me in the crowd when he was fighting at tournaments and stuff like that. So he would go out and like he would always look at me. And I've always been one of those guys that like I really want to help coach him. Even though I don't know much about martial arts, there's one thing that I do know a lot about, and it's tendencies, and I know people. Right. So when I played basketball, I was super good at breaking down the game, watching people, what they would do on their left side and their right side, what they would do with their hips and their shoulders, what they would do with their ass and their feet. I would watch all of these tendencies that people would lean on, and then I would use that and implement that. And then I was a super vocal dude on the court. So I would call out tendencies for other players. Like, well, he would go left, he would go right, or he would do this, he would do that. When he gets in the post, he does this. So Hayden would look at that, and then he would ask me after the fight or during the fight, or when he had a break in between fighting somebody, he would say, hey, what do you see, or what am I missing? That type of thing. So I would tell him. And then now, I'm trying not to fucking cry because it's like my kid's getting old, and one day he doesn't need me now, but it's just one day it's going to be like All Might and Deku for me and Hayden. It's just like he's already stopped looking back. He's consistently looking forward. That scene where All Might is, like I said, I'm trying not to fucking cry, dude, because this thing hit me so hard in the feels. But when All Might is running after Deku and he's got the fucking pork cutlets in his hand, and Deku does not look back at him and he takes off, that thing tore me down to my core, because I saw myself wanting to catch up with my oldest son and tell him like how much that meant. Like I'm fucking trying. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to
No,
cry, man, but it's like that scene hit so fucking hard, dude. It was so special. And like I said, I really feel like he was drawing off of a personal experience, or maybe one of those writers was drawn off a personal experience, but it meant so much to see that, and I thought it was so beautiful, man. And I'm gonna let you talk for a little bit because I'm like I gotta compose myself. Woosah, man, I got to get back to it,
it,
Ricky. But what were you thinking about that scene?
it was there was a lot going on because you get to see Deku essentially change, like his
Mm,
personality change. He wasn't smiling, he wasn't like um as I guess you could say as happy as he was. But I do like that there are moments of All Might being shown, like he's still a hero. Like there was a part where he saved the lady from getting hit from a car or something like that. Like
hmm
All Might is still the hero, but then like when you see that, when you see All Might realize that Deku may or may not need him no more, All Might's like shit. Like, dude, am I even still? It makes All Might like have conflict now. He's like,
Yeah.
am I even still a hero then, or am I still good enough to be a hero? Like the hero of best, like the best of the best, is doubting himself now.
Yeah.
He's like, am I even like, does he even need me anymore? Like
hmm
I'm devoting my life to this kid, and he doesn't. He just goes off on his own. Like it's he might not. It's not like I'm useless to him, but he doesn't need me, and I think that's why, like, to All Might, man, like he felt some type of way to see like that could go off like that. And even like towards we're gonna skip. I'm just gonna bring up a little bit at the end, like where they both realized that where when Deku wanted to apologize to All Might, you know, even Deku realized like, oh man, I didn't treat him as as well as I should have, because all
hmm
that time All Might was looking out for me, like for his like in the best way, like the best interest, because All Might was like, you didn't eat yet, you need to rest, you gotta slow down. How is like they even make a nod to the first movie, like with the gauntlets, like how is that gauntlet you
Yeah.
got from the US, like how is that All Might's like a parent to him.
Hmm.
And you just see Deku like, no, I'm good, and then just
Yeah.
goes off.
Yeah. Like I said, dude, that, and I'm sorry for crying on you, man, but it was just like that scene was so, it was so heartfelt. And like I said, I really think that they draw from personal experience on that one. If not, man, they're just a master at playing with your emotions, dude. It's, and like I said, we're gonna jump ahead just a little bit, and we're getting towards the end of wrapping up the season. Um, you see All Might, grappling with the fact that he might not no longer be needed. Like Deku knows everything. He literally tells him he can do all of this with, at 100%, right? He doesn't need it. He's trying to push them away so nobody gets hurt. And, you eventually see, his classmates come to his rescue. You see him, destitute. You see him dark. He looks like Dark Deku at this point. Like he looks like a villain. And I thought this costume was so fucking dope. It was so ragged. He looked like the boogeyman essentially. And you see these kids come to his rescue, his aid, because they know, like all of the pro heroes, Endeavor, Best Genius, Hawks, they all know, all knows that it doesn't matter what they say, they're not going to get to him. Doesn't matter what they do, they're not going to cut through the facade that Deku has put up. The walls that Deku is putting up to keep everybody else safe, they're not going to break those walls down. They're impenetrable. But they know that if they get the kids involved that he's been training with, he's been practicing with, he's been fighting tooth and nail with the league with for 5 seasons prior, for years now, or a year or two, whatever it has been at this point. He knows that they can finally get through to him. And then you see all of these guys and gals break out everything that they've learned together, everything that Deku has pointed out, every piece of advice Deku has given them, and they use it against him to break him down and wear him down. They break the walls down. That's a Chris Jericho reference for sure. They break down Deku's walls, and they get through to him. And the scene that just ripped my heart out, it wasn't Uraraka screaming at the rooftops, dude. It was Bakugo. When they put Bakugo up there, and Bakugo tells him that he was essentially a dick and he apologizes for everything, and Deku essentially collapses and Bakugo's there to catch him. Bakugo doesn't let him touch the ground, man. I thought that whole scene, I know a lot of my friends were kind of upset with they thought it was going to be more of a like a 1A versus 1B fight where Deku was actually going to put hands on somebody. But if you really look at it, like there's no way in fuck that Deku was going to ever try to hurt anybody. He was just going to evade and get away. And like I said, that whole scene with him and Bakugo, I thought was it the second movie where he tried to pass on the quirk?
Yeah.
Okay, that was, I put that up there as far as emotionally goes with that scene, because those two scenes in particular, when I think of Deku and Bakugo, those are the first two I think of, and those are the first two that make me cry like a little bitch. In particular, man, it was such a special moment, man. So going from the pages, I don't know if you can get the same kind of like emotional vibe that you could for the anime, but what were you feeling, man? Were you feeling as sentimental and sappy as I was watching those two?
I'm gonna be honest, not so much with Bakugo and Deku, but it was with Ida and Deku.
Yeah. Yeah, at
That
the end.
that scene or that part of the rescue was like that hit me pretty hard because
Hmm.
like just because you see when Deku's getting away, and you kind of see like the comparisons when they rescued Bakugo
Yes.
in season 3 when they rescued Bakugo. It's the same thing. Like they're all
Hmm.
teaming up and like they kind of use the same idea to save him. And it's what the second one for all user said. He's like he needs someone that could run alongside him and
Yeah.
excuse me, like the only one that could withstand that kind of speed and velocity was Ida because Ida's he can withstand that kind of speed. So to see like all that effort it took, like the class to just shoot Ida out
Yeah.
and to just grab Deku's hand, and then he's like, the essence of a hero is to like what is it? I forgot the exact quote, but he's like, if you're not meddling, that's not like the essence of being a hero. Like whatever Deku said to him is what he said to Deku when they fought
Hmm.
Stain the first time. And man, that shit ripped my heart. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
Horikoshi's so good at this because like it made me really like it made me really appreciate Ida's character because
Hmm.
Ida comes from the family of he's from a family of heroes and he has like this honor complex and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
to Ida, it's already like he knows that he's destined to be a hero, and then like to see him hold Deku's hand, he's like, uh, uh, Enignium. I'm butchering the name, but like that
Ingenium.
Ingenium, yeah, the Ingenium, the hero. Like I'm here to save the kids to hold their hands, and he's saying it to Deku, like that's I'm saving you, bro. Like you're the one I'm trying to save, and man, like that, like to see like Deku react in the way he did, and then right after that, Bakugo's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry for being a dick," So like it's like that's the apology everyone was looking like, all the Bakugo haters, whatever they have to fucking say, like you know, it's it's finally been said. Like Bakugo knows he knows what he did to Deku, and it was
Hmm.
out of insecurities that he took it out on Deku. But deep down, man, Bakugo is like we've said this tons of times on our podcast. Man, Bakugo is not a bad guy.
No,
He just has
misunderstood.
like bad tendencies from time to time, but it's not like harmful to people. He just picked on Deku because he knew he was in a way threatened. Like, oh shit, if I don't step up my game, he's gonna surpass me. And of all people, I don't want him to surpass me. So
Yeah.
it's it was really nice to see that that Bakugo like finally took that time to be like, look, I'm sorry. Like I
Yeah.
whatever I did to you, whatever I said to you, I'm sorry. And that right there was like, dude, if you don't love Bakugo anymore, like I don't know, people are just idiots for not enjoying the writing of
Absolutely.
Bakugo, man. Because I don't know. It's just like I think Bakugo is the most real character out of all these
Hmm.
students. Like he's the one that anyone can relate to because we've all been bullies to someone before. We've all grown and changed in our lifetime. We're not always the hero like Deku. We're not always like saving someone like Deku. But Bakugo is the most real, and it's also like people forget that you can also redeem yourself as a person. And I think that's why like Bakugo is one of the best characters because you see that even though he was a dick to Deku the majority of the show, he redeemed himself. He showed that he's not a terrible person.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't say it any better than what you had just said. It was where you brought him up, Stain, man. I've been waiting and hoping and hoping and hoping and hoping since, we last saw him, just essentially use all of his battery. And uh I was so pumped up because I had a feeling you don't, when you're a fan of comic books, as long as I've been a fan of comic books, and you're a fan of anything, and you see a panel, you see a scene, you see somebody that was there but is no longer there, but they show you that person is still alive and still in this universe, without a shadow of a doubt, at some point in time, that bad son of a bitch is going to pop up again. And that's exactly what we see Stain do when all of the villains are being released from all of these prisons. We see Stain. He walks through and he's trying to figure out what's going on because he's been locked up for as long as he's been locked up. He doesn't know what's going on in the outside world. He doesn't know what happened. And he sees this dude of all the people, and I thought this was so I thought it was so beautiful that he was like, all these people I passed, everybody was clutching a weapon, and this guy was clutching something like a kid. He was like, I knew there was something on there, right? And he takes it from this guy, and then he knows the only person he can give it to is All Might, the only hero that is an actual hero. The only guy that's essentially allowed to kill Stain is All Might. If All Might kills somebody, you know, that's the only guy that he will bow down to. And we see, All Might come face to face with Stain when there's something so powerful about the open. I don't, was it in the first episode where it's that picture of All Might statue and it says, I'm not here? Was that in the first episode? Or was that alluded to down the road? I just remember seeing that visualization of that statue, I am not here, or something along those lines. And it was
I
just visual imagery throughout the entire series.
I don't recall, but yeah, that play. I guess that was there like in the first part of the second half where
Mhm.
you kind of see like where the people kind of turned on the heroes and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so seeing that whole progression of just the chaos ensuing, the people that are no longer there for the heroes, they're trying to protect themselves and protect their businesses, and All Might goes to the statue and then he's greeted by Stain with a blade to his neck and he essentially thinks this is it. This is how I go out. This is Hero Killer Stain. And then he sees that there is still hope within the people. Not everybody has turned their back on the heroes, and you see Stain essentially give this speech. It's like, no, dude, you're still here. You're still within people, no matter what you think. That dilemma, that conflict that All Might had within himself a few episodes prior, like, Deku doesn't need me. I'm not a real hero anymore. I'm done. I'm not looked at like that. He still sees the symbol that he is, this true symbol of hope. He still sees the weight and the gravitas that carries. He still sees that there are people that are looking to anything that'll brighten their day, and especially to All Might. That lady comes out and cleans up his statue. She takes that "I am not here" sign off. So I thought it was a really cool introduction. I can't wait to see like what happens. I hope this isn't like the samurai walking off into the sunset. I hope we get to see some more Stain, as the series progresses. I have to imagine we will, because you're not just going to bring a badass motherfucker like that around for 10 minutes and then I mean, they might, but they're not going to do that, I don't think. But yeah, what was as we're wrapping up this season, man, what were some final thoughts on not only the Stain and the All Might interaction, but overall, man, what was your feeling about this season?
The second half of the season wrapped up really well. I thought, I kind of wish like the fights were a little bit longer, but
Mm-hmm.
storytelling wise, there's like the story plot wise was still good. I do want to give some thoughts on like between like All Might and Stain. I do think that at the end, All Might's gonna have to fight Stain,
Mm-hmm.
even if he has no quirk. I think Stain will not allow All Might to retire officially until he fights Stain.
Yeah.
Like Stain's probably gonna be like, you're catching these hands. I don't care, man. Like we're fighting. So I think they're teasing that because even then, like he told All Might, like, you're the only one that can beat me, and I've already killed 40 heroes. You got to do something about that.
Mm-hmm.
So Stain's just like, I'm letting you know you can kill me. Like
The ball's in your
just
court.
yeah, like, do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna, so who knows, maybe they will fight or something like that. But I kind of brought me back to like, because we both spoke to Rob McCollum too, like who voices
Mm-hmm.
Stain, and just hearing him talk about like how he thought that he knows Stain is there, he just waited to come back. So I can't wait to hear him as Stain again, just to
Yeah.
have that little moment. But I do want to also add on, just like I think that this season, man, the way how they ended it was just great to see that. You just see the growth of all the students. Like I said, like just
Mm-hmm.
seeing Deku grow, Bakugo grow, and like the people in society change their outlook on the heroes, because now that after the whole war arc is just like they were all afraid. They didn't even want Deku back at UA. They're like, dude, if you leave him here, we're gonna be the target of All for One,
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like a lot of like um back and forth debating and stuff like that. But then there was one point of the show or in that episode where when Uraraka is making that speech, and I love this, like, I guess uh I don't want to say comparison, but it's like from the second episode of season one where All Might tells him like you can be a hero, and Deku's like kneeling and crying, and then you
Mm-hmm.
see like the second time where he does that, and it's when Koda and the shark lady come and run towards him, and man, I, I
Yeah.
that was more for me. Like I said, with the manga, that was more heartfelt in the manga. Like you see when
Mm-hmm.
seeing Kota run to Deku, man, and tell him like, dude, I bought red shoes because that's what you have. You have red shoes,
Yeah.
and you saved me. So like little things like that, man. Like it's just it was just so good as a reader, and to see that, and but yeah, man, just like that to see how this wrapped up, and then like with the end, how they teased Star and Stripe. My
Mm-hmm.
God, dude, America's number one hero. She kind of looks like Homelander a little bit, but dude,
That she
like,
does.
but I already love all the memes that they have. They're like, of course, America would be the first one to go to war, like. So I just thought like all the memes are funny as hell because in that UN meeting they're like, yeah, our hero couldn't wait, so she took off first, and it's
Yeah,
Star and Stripe on the
on the
fighter
jets.
jets and stuff. But I already know what's gonna happen in the upcoming season. It's just I can't wait to see her because she's gonna have a fight soon because she's America's hero, number one hero, and so she's gonna have a fight next. That's all I can say. But man, is her upcoming fight gonna be so good? I can't wait to see that being animated. And I love the actress who does her voice because in the for the sub actor she also voices Hanji from Attack on Titan,
Okay.
and she voices what's his name he's from Bleach, the white hair kid, I'm forgetting his name, but she's also in Full Metal Alchemist too, so she's a very good actress. I'm glad that they picked her for that role. um but yeah, dude, I can't wait for season 7, man. It's gonna start off with the bang.
Oh man, if I've learned anything, dude, it's just like this season set the bar for the entire series so far. Like I feel bad for the animators, the voice actors, the writers for all of this because this this is going to be hard. I got to imagine the manga just keeps getting better and better, but I got to imagine like this is going like trying to match this pace. I just like I said, I can't wait to see it. I hope they hit the level. I hope they hit the mark, which I know they will. If they can do it in this season and the rest of the seasons, they can do it again.
All I can say is I don't want to like sound like it's going down, but season 4 and season 6 were probably the best arcs though. Because like
Yeah,
what I've been reading in the manga, it's still good. Don't get me wrong. There's good moments, but it didn't have me on the edge of my seat like the season 6
last
arc.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. So but not to discourage anyone from not reading the manga, you should definitely read the manga because it's I believe Horikoshi said he's on his last arc or so. So
Mhm.
I don't know if it'll be ending anytime soon, but it's getting there.
Yeah, I hope he's doing okay because I know he had a scare and he was in the hospital again because of just the consistent pressure that they're putting under these
Dude,
guys, man. I really hope he's okay.
he's writing and he's drawing the manga, dude. Like I don't know if you saw it on my Facebook, but I posted like a panel, like a 2-page spread panel that he
Hmm.
did. And dude, the amount of work he's putting in into this series, like I am more concerned about his health because like
Yes,
if you're not healthy, take time off, dude. Like we can wait on this series. Like and that's why like
absolutely.
I love and hate the fan base because the fan base they always got something to bitch about, man. They always got something to be mad about.
Hmm.
If they're not mad at Deku or Bakugo, then they're mad at the writer. If they're mad at the writer, they're mad at Endeavor. Like it's like, dude, like relax, let this guy breathe. Who cares if he writes characters that you don't like? There's a bunch of other characters like so yeah, that's my little rant about the My Hero fandom.
Absolutely, man. We are our own worst enemy. I just, like I said, I hope the guy's okay. I hope he's doing better, man. Take 6 months off. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I don't give a shit, dude. I want you at your best and brightest, and I want you
Yep.
happy and healthy, man. Nothing else matters. Well, Ricky, man, I gotta say, dude, I really enjoy the friendship that we've had over these last couple years doing this podcast because there's one guy I've actually had to stay away from your Facebook, your Instagram, and everything else because until I finish My Hero, because like I said, you're spoiler force, so this what and you're super passionate about this stuff. So just getting to hang out and talk, virtually. Eventually, we'll do it in person one day. The goal was to do it this year because we were going to be in the same area in Texas as you were. But Katie's pregnant and stuff, so we kind of had to cancel those plans. But maybe one day, like I said, one day we'll get together and we'll actually do one of these in person, man. But like I said, getting to just pick your brain about anime, something that I am super novice level in, and getting to see your opinion on how you see things both on the written and drawn side to the animated and voice acting side, has been nothing but spectacular and fun. Like I said, I look forward to your podcast each week. Listening to you and people like Ty and Sean on Whiskey Lodian, and then listening to Brandon on Animation Destination and listen to Isaiah on 47 Cartoon Guy. Getting to see you guys' perspectives and takes on things opens up my horizons and it opens up me to be better at this, just talking it. That's all it really is. But really getting to see what you guys think and how it makes you feel and what makes you think and what makes you tick, both good and bad. Like I said, I find your podcast extremely fascinating. I know you got a couple episodes coming up. I think you said when this episode will drop, we'll have the Last of Us review that you guys are putting on, man. But if you had to give somebody the old elevator pitch on why they should be listening to your show or what they could expect when they're listening to your show, let the fans know what Spoiler Force podcast is all about.
I mean, if I was to pitch my podcast, man, it's just like if you like something and you want to hear me talk about it, then just check it out. It's like I don't just do anime reviews, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've been on an anime run for a while now, for the past year and a half, but like I have like a variety of artists on the show, man. Not just voice actors, but I
Mm-hmm.
spoke to musicians. In the beginning episodes, I speak with cosplayers. I speak with other actors and people in the comic convention industry where they do art and stuff like that. I speak
Mm-hmm.
with them. I do reviews and stuff like that too, not just anime reviews. I do movie reviews and stuff like that too. Um, it's been a big variety of things because now that I live in Texas now, I've had more opportunities on the anime side. So
Mm-hmm.
it feels good when you tell me that you like my perspective of an anime because honestly, there are people out there with much more knowledge in the anime community than I do. I'm very like basic when it comes to this stuff. There's a lot of people who know like certain animes that are really good but not hot, and I honestly I strive to be on that level where there's like certain shows that I watch and I want to be able to be like, hey, you should watch this show and before it gets hot, and then next thing you know it's hot. I want to be able to see certain animes like that. So if you guys want to like just see some like opinions or like see what I do, you can just follow Spoiler Force on like all my socials: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I do a lot of I've been more active on Instagram lately, so you can check out my stories there. I do like a bunch of silly stuff on Instagram, like memes and stuff like
They
that.
make me laugh quite a bit.
Twitter, I'm not too active on Twitter, but I do share like the episodes and stuff like that. So like or links and clips and stuff like that. Same thing on TikTok. You can check out Facebook if anyone's still using Facebook. But yeah, so it's it's hard to really kind of. I'm gonna be honest, it is hard to sell Spoiler Force because like when people think of Spoiler Force, like, oh, he's just reviewing things, but no, like I want to be more than that. I want to be able to talk with people and get different perspectives and stuff like that, and not just be stuck in one type of content making. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to, like I said before, I want to be able to talk with everyone and anyone on the show, because when it comes down to it, man, we're just talking about things we like.
Absolutely. And like I said, man, it's been a blast getting to know you these last 3 years or so. And I can't wait to see what you got coming next. Because like I said, every time I get to see an old Spotify, I see a new Spoiler Force episode pop up. Download. It doesn't matter what I'm listening to. I could be listening to Rogi. I could be listening to my NBA podcast. Yours goes straight to the top of the list, man. So keep doing
Thank
what you're
you.
doing. And like I said, I really enjoy it, man. Well, there's no better way to end this than he's been Ricky, I've been Julian. It's been a What's in My Head podcast, and this has been another piece of your childhood. Good night.